a legally binding will. You have got a will. And sadly, a government will instantly falls into place. And that will not be what you want to happen at all, because it's actually, the government will is about 120 years old, and my word, you will not believe how it doesn't work for anybody.
It's not just about wills tonight, though. We're also talking about lasting powers of attorney, and you'll see the details on the screen. You're going directly to Simpler Law. They're working in conjunction with us here at Shop on TV to bring us exclusive offers with great, great deals. So let's take a look at those offers straight away. So if you want to get yourself a will, family estate will, £249, the suggested retail price. It's down to £124 on the offer price, but with the extra 20% off, it's £99 to write a will.
Now, that has been, it was such a good deal. It was our New Year's offer that we have bought it back, so you're really lucky you've got that extra 20% off again, but grab it whilst you can. Close of business on Friday is the time that you've got, but do it now, secure the price, otherwise you will forget, and split that cost completely interest-free. £24.75 is the first of those 4 payments. So that is, of course, for your will. But when we go into details of lasting power of attorney, this is just as important as a will. And as you stay with us, you'll think, oh, gosh, yeah, perhaps I should do lasting power of attorney. If that's what you want, price normally £349. Our offer price is normally £239, but this morning, an extra 20% off, so £189 is your deal. And again, you get the opportunity to split that cost to make it so affordable to do. 4 payments of £47.25. And when you think about £24.75, £47.25, what do you spend on coffee a week? What do you spend on takeaways? What do you spend on a glass of wine now? This is money so well spent. And you might decide actually to do both, and that is a huge saving. You're saving more than you're spending.
Biggest value of all if you go for a will and lasting power of attorney. It should be almost £600. The offer price should be $315, but remember you've got that extra 20% off. It comes down to £249. That's $62.25 on your first of 4 interest-free payments. It really is the time to take advantage, but these offers only until the close of business on Friday.
But do it now, you'll forget, won't you? It'll be the weekend before you know it. How are we nearly at the end of February? Where did January go? The time goes so quick, so do it right now. Don't put it off any longer. It's so important, and one day it will just be too late. The other reason to do it right now is the first 250 people get this fabulous book, which I think everybody should have, because in here is all vital information that when a loved one does pass, that your family trying to find. I mean, in secret, my mum will have so many secret cubby holes on, I will never find a thing. But actually, it's a bit more complicated now, because lots of things as well are on emails, on iPhones or on tablets.
This isn't just about your regular things like your pensions and your bank accounts, your life insurance policies.
All those are in there, but
that's there as well. But it's also about recording things like your digital accounts, your passwords for your phone, your tablet, and maybe your laptop computer. So it's all in one place. So it's easy to find. The first 250 people who sign up for the offers will get that book. It's worth £25, but it'll be included. So it's really simple, really straightforward offers that we've got for you, but it's also really easy to get in touch as well. Whether it's the phone, whether it's the website, whether you want to text.
You don't have to speak to anybody if you don't want to. You can go straight onto the website. It's not, well, you can go via our website, actually, but you can go directly to simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. The team are in the call centre right now, and it's the Simpler Law team. You might have a couple of questions, that's fine, but it is just you securing the deal right now. You don't need any information at all, apart from you want to do the will or the lasting power of attorney. So if you're ringing, it's 0333 600 2600. But one of the easiest, and I think the best ways...
And the most popular on these shows.
I think we're all a bit, you know, you're at home, your phone's right by, you're probably looking at your phone whilst you're watching the TV. We never want to talk to anybody, do we?
Or each other, to be fair.
Neither of us want to answer the phone or answer the door. You go. No, I don't want to. I know. Honestly, just text the word will to 66777. I do all the competitions like that, and this is a competition you will win because you have secured the prices, and that's all you're doing today. And the team will get back to you later on today or tomorrow to sort out a time when it's suitable for you to sit down and have a chat. And it is just a sit down and chat conversation. Simpler Law make it so easy. If you do want to go via our website, though, you can.
Yep, shopontv.co.uk. When you go to the homepage, just scroll down. As you scroll down, you'll come to our on-screen partners. You can see Simpler Law, the logo just there. Click on that logo and it'll take you directly through to those exclusive offers with the extra 20% off. And then you can just fill in that form that you can see just there. Simple, straightforward, easy to do. And you don't need anything with you. You don't need any documentation. It's all about just securing those offers. It's about taking that first step. If you haven't written a will just because you haven't got round to it, this is that first step that
we put things off, don't we? And one day it will just be too late. And honestly, you don't want that government will to fall in place. And it will. It will automatically if you haven't got that legally binding will already written. And that will isn't right for anybody. 100 years old for a start, so the will's completely changed. Not right for us. We've actually been together 35 years, but we're not married. And the government will wouldn't work for us because, and though my family and Sean's family knows what's mine is Sean's, what Sean is mine, the government will wouldn't take that into consideration at all. If you're married or remarried, if you're married with children, if you're married with children from different relationships, it's all about bloodline. So it really can make a bad situation so much worse if you haven't got a will in place. But do stay with us because honestly, you'll be like us. We didn't realise until you sit down, I think, and listen. Lots of you, we just don't know that there is a will already written for us.
But we're not alone. Joining us from Simpler Law directly to talk us through everything, Ian and Georgia are with us. Lovely to see you both.
Lovely to see you as well.
Great to have your company. Ian, let's start straight away when it comes to a will, because I think people might be sat out there thinking, do I need a will? Everybody needs a will, don't they?
Absolutely. If you want your last act on planet Earth to be your act, then you need a will, because then it's your document, it's about you, it's about your estate, and it's about your loved ones, and it's about what you want to happen. If you pass away without a will, as Hayley quite rightly said at the top there, then the government basically steps in with the default position. It's called the rules of intestacy. We call it the government will, but basically every adult in the UK has this default position waiting for them if they don't make their own will. And I think this is the thing that catches people out, because there's not a lot of information out there, but at the same time, unless you're thinking of putting your affairs in order and putting, dealing with your estate planning, why would you know about the rules of intestacy?
We just presume we've been together so long. Obviously, we live together, and I'm sure a lot of people think, well, I've told the kids, they know what I want to happen, so that's fine, but it's not fine, is it?
So many misconceptions, isn't there, that people think will happen?
Yeah, and it's awful because, of course, I know it's a really obvious, it's almost a crass statement, but when it's too late, it is too late. So all these promises that you made, or all these things that you said to your children or your loved ones about, well, when I've gone, I want this to happen, that to happen, unless you've documented that in a legally binding will that's yours, none of that's going to happen. It's going to follow the rules of intestacy, which is only interested in whether the person who passed away was married or in a civil partnership, and whether they've got children and what other relatives they've got. So it's very prescriptive, if you like, and it all starts with basically your marital status. You can see on the screen there, it's just a series of yes and no questions that's asked of the person that passed away. The first obvious question is, did they have their own will? The second, the answer to that is no. It's okay, they've died intestate, so the government will comes into play. And as you can see there, right at the top, it says, are you married or in civil partnership? It doesn't ask, do you think you're common law husband and wife, because we still hear that. It doesn't ask, like, have you been together 35 years? Because that's not
relevant, is it?
It's not relevant, other than the answer to that question. The question on the rules of intestacy is no. So are you married in a civil partnership or not? And then that takes you to a series of other yes or no questions until there's a destination, if you like, for everything you've worked hard for. It never seems particularly fair, but it was never designed to be fair. It was just designed as a default position because, again, it might sound melodramatic, but there'd be anarchy if there wasn't a set of rules that dealt with everything. So you either pass away with your own will and your last act on planet Earth is yours, or if you choose not to make a will, or you don't know any better, and I'm afraid if you're watching this show tonight, you can't now claim you don't know any better, but if you choose not to make a will, then you die intestate and the government will steps in. And the worst thing that we hear all the time is bereaved family members saying, but Dad didn't want this, or Mum didn't want this, or...
Absolutely.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, we get it a lot.
And we know that, you know, one phone call, one text, it can be fixed.
Can all be solved.
Pretty straightforward. It's incredibly selfless. Making a will, you will definitely get something out of it, but you're doing it for the people that you leave behind, because I'm not saying a will makes a bereavement any easier, but what it does do is it doesn't make it any worse, because you've set out what you wanted to happen, and it will happen.
And it's very complicated as well, because obviously, how old again is that government will?
1925 it was first.
So it's 100 years old.
101 this year.
So and life was so different then, but it wouldn't have worked for anybody then. You know, you can't have the same will. But now so many people are on second or third marriages, have got children from different relationships, and this could cause real family upset, because it's the bloodline. So then it's like, who dies first as to whose family will end up with the money, which...
Truthfully, the government have tried to review it a number of times, but it's just so complicated that they kind of went, well, we'll change a couple of figures in it, but we can't really do more than what we've done.
No.
But we're not surprised. If we speak to a client today, we're not going to be shocked to the core if they say, oh, yeah, we've both been previously married and now we're on our second marriage and, you know, we've got children from that previous relationship. We're not going to be shocked by that. That's not unusual.
That's
Just life, and blended families, dynamic families are part of society today. 1925, of course, that would have been virtually unheard of. But the problem with that is those rules still fit a society 100 years ago. So the way it's set up now, and forgive the finger puppets, but if you die intestate, if you get the government will, let's say Mr. dies first, everything goes across to Mrs. Well, there's no provision for his children there. So you'd like to think, well, when Mrs. dies, then it'll be shared between the children.
They might live as one big happy family, so they don't see each other's stepsisters and brothers. So
they see themselves as a family, understandably so, but the rules of intestacy doesn't. It follows the bloodline. So Mr. dies first, everything goes to Mrs. Mrs. dies second, everything goes to her children and her children only.
Right.
So it's a lottery. I don't like using that phrase, but it's a lottery. The first parent that dies, their children are disinherited, because the bloodline, it's the last bloodline standing that the estate follows. And again, people go, no, that can't be true, that can't be right, and you can find this out for yourselves. We've got no reason to lie. That's exactly what happens, and that's exactly why you need to make a will, to stop all the ifs, buts and maybes, and to stop something going horribly wrong at what's already a horrible time. So we try to make it as easy as possible. We certainly, with these offers, try to make it as affordable as possible. The one thing we can't do is we can't pick up the phone for you and we can't send a text. You have to do that for yourself.
And sometimes that's the thing, we just put things off, don't we? And we're hopeless. You know you need to do something.
It's just getting round to it a lot of the time, isn't it?
And then before you know it, it'll be spring, then you'll be booking your summer holiday, and before you know it, it'll be next Christmas, and you still haven't done that will. If you get in contact right now, you know you've taken that first step. You know it's going to be done. And honestly, it is so easy. We know Simpler Law prior to them working with us here on Shop on TV, because I did Mum's lasting power of attorney with them. And honestly, you sit down with a team member who becomes your sort of friend that you sit down and talk to and contact all the time, and you virtually just sit down and have a chat. We worry about everything, but there was no question that I thought was too silly. It is virtually, the team have got the questions and you have got the answers, so you don't need any other information apart from, I really want to do a will, I really want to do a lasting power of attorney. Simpler Law make it so easy.
It really is a hand-holding service. And remember, tonight you don't need any documents, you don't need anything with you. It's just about securing those offers. It's not just wills that we're talking about, though. We're also talking about lasting power of attorney. And this might be a term that you've heard of before, but you're not quite sure what it means. So we'll pop the details on the screen for you for the lasting power of attorney. Now, Ian, for anyone at home who's watching and they've heard of lasting power of attorney but they're not quite sure what it means, can you explain?
Yeah, there's a big difference between these estate planning documents. A will, there's obviously an inevitability to a will being used. With a lasting power of attorney, it's more a what-if document. We can't call it an insurance policy because it's definitely not, but it is a what-if. It's a document that you want to have and then hope that your family never need to use it.
Right, yeah.
So these are documents. There's two types. There's one that deals with your property and affairs. There's one that deals with health and welfare, and we can go into that in a bit more detail shortly. But effectively, today, whilst you have mental capacity so you can make decisions for yourself, you can choose to set up a lasting power of attorney where you name another person or people to act as your attorney or attorneys. And if you're really unlucky and life throws you a curveball and you lose capacity through an accident or through illness, we all know dementia is quite prevalent at the moment. It's very rare now that you speak to someone that isn't affected either directly or indirectly by someone with dementia. So we all know it's there and it's horrible. But a lasting power of attorney doesn't make the accident or the illness easier, but what it does do is it gives your power to someone that you trust, because when you did have capacity, you said, if life throws me a curveball, I would want this person or these people to step in and just manage my affairs the way I would have managed them.
What sort of things does it allow you to do? It's things that I think a lot of people think, well, it's my partner, it's my mum, it's my dad. I will be able to do these things. So we're going to look at, first of all, of course, property and affairs, because there are two different lasting powers of attorney. And these are things that instantly you think, of course I can sort this, but then you think, well, actually, of course I can't sort this.
And with property and affairs, we're talking about financial things, really, aren't we, Georgia? And we can see a list on the screen. This is just some of the things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the benefits of it is it covers a range of decisions, such as large decisions, such as selling a property, choosing where to live, things like that, to the smaller decisions of, you know, accessing your bank account for a weekly food shop. And I don't think people realise how prevalent these things are.
Well, you do presume, especially if you've got like a joint account, it's your husband, your wife, your partner. Of course I can do, but actually you can't, because they're not there to say that you're allowed to.
No, exactly. And again, it's what do you do in those circumstances? So it's always better to have them and not need them. But I think it's a real common misconception that people think it's only dementia or old age where you lose capacity. But unfortunately, we've come across the circumstance many a time where that's not necessarily the case. It could be down to a serious accident, even an illness, where you can either temporarily or permanently lose capacity. So, and we come across this all the time in our business, don't we?
Yeah.
It's so true, because I know we were wrong, sort of, when we got mum's lasting power of attorney, thinking, you know, she's later in life, she's getting older, but actually my friend was 40 when she had her accident. And so you just don't know what's around the corner, and so important for the likes of us to have lasting power of attorney for each other. You just don't know, and it is a document you hope to put away and never need to use. But it's a document that, once we'd done mums, it was like a weight off our shoulders. We've forgotten about it now. I only ever think about it when we sit and chat to you. But we know it's there if we ever need it.
I think, and you can't put a value on this thing until you know if it's going to be needed or not. Weirdly, it'd be great if it was a waste of money, and I don't say that lightly. But if you think about the things that we insure day to day, we're not insuring something because we want it to break or fail, but, you know, we will insure a boiler, we'll insure our pets because, you know, vets bills are astronomical, and we'll insure things like electrical items, but we often forget about ourselves. And we don't insure these things because we're expecting them to break or fail. We insure them because we can see them and we want them to keep running. You know, we want to look after our pet, we want the heating on it at winter. But we forget about ourselves, and unfortunately, if we don't protect ourselves when we can, no one can do that for you. So no one else can make a lasting power of attorney. There's only you can do it, and there's only you can do it today, because that's all we've got, is we've only got right now. And sadly, again, it's not nice when it happens, but we get far too many what we call the too late phone calls into the office, which is, you know, quite often we'll get someone who says, oh, you did our wills and lasting powers of attorney last year. My dad's just been diagnosed with dementia. It's like, what can you do for him? And there's certain things we can help with, but we can't do the lasting power of attorney now because he's got dementia and he hasn't got the capacity to make one. So you have to put it in place today. Don't let life get in the way. Do something about it today, because you've got a unique opportunity. And then I loved what you said there about your mums. You know they're in place, so you don't have to worry about it then.
It's done.
It's there, isn't it?
Be under no illusion, it's a really selfless thing that you're doing, because you're helping your family step in and help you, but actually you're also sort of ensuring that it's people that you trust, it's
Yeah.
people that you would want dealing with your affairs.
With your bank accounts and also with your health, because there's two types.
Yeah.
Isn't there, Georgia? There's also sort of a health and welfare lasting power of attorney as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that particular document, it covers your medical. So it could be things such as dealing with a hospital for a more perhaps serious, maybe surgery, things like that. Someone can deal with that for you. Or even just simply a doctor's appointment. So just dealing with them on your behalf. You don't realise how difficult it is without these documents in place.
Big things, though, like where you live as well.
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
course.
Yeah.
What home if
Care
someone needs to go
homes.
into a home?
It's absolutely awful. An awful time when you either metaphorically or physically lose your voice because you've gone into the care system and you've not donated your voice to someone else. Because when you make a lasting power of attorney, you're called the donor because you would effectively donate your power to someone. When you lose your voice at an already awful time, those situations can be made so much worse because no one can speak up on your behalf. So things happen beyond your control and it can be so frustrating and upsetting. So again, it comes back to this is a selfless thing to do, but it's amazing because you do something for your family, but you do it for yourself as well. The only thing we can't do is we can't send the text or pick the phone
Yeah.
up.
Take
So
that first step, yeah.
I honestly think that's the hardest thing about making a will or putting a lasting power of attorney in place is actually sending the text tonight or picking up the phone tonight.
So many things are
Because
like that.
after that, it's
Yeah.
easy.
The process
We
is
put
really
things
simple.
off, don't
Yeah.
we? And actually, when you get down to doing it, it's actually so easy. You're
I
like,
think a
why
lot of
didn't we
time
do that
You just don't get
ages
round
ago?
to it. It's not even a case of putting it off. You know, other
Life
things
gets in the way,
Yeah,
doesn't
other
it?
things get in the way.
My favourite ending to every consultation is virtually the same. Every single client goes, "Oh, that was all right," because the thing is might be a little bit morbid or a little bit down, and obviously we have to take you to a dark place for 30 seconds. But essentially, if you do something amazing tonight, if you send the word "will" to 66777 on a text, we will call you back. The team are there now. If you phone 0333 600 2600. You can secure one of these deals now. That'll be one of the most, it won't feel like it when you do it, but I promise you that'll be one of the most amazing things you've done for yourself and for your family. Now, I'm biased because I've been doing this for the best part of 30 years, but I know what difference a will can make to families. I know what difference a lasting power of attorney can make to families. And conversely, the stark contrast is I know how difficult not having a will can leave things and how difficult it can be for loved ones trying to care for a loved one when they haven't got the power to do so.
Yeah, because with a will, you've got the government will that falls in place. But actually, with a lasting power of attorney, if a loved one does fall very poorly or is in a serious accident, there is, well, the court of protection, there's
the cost that's involved.
Again, something then that a loved one has to do to try and take control of, whether it's finance or whether it's welfare.
So this
and
is
health.
if you haven't got a lasting power of attorney, then you have to apply to the courts.
Absolutely, and interestingly, you said it's a loved one. Without breaching any confidentiality, we've got a case at the moment where someone's trying to get a court of protection order over one of our clients that we know has lost capacity, and we know that they're excluded from their will.
Oh,
So
gosh.
it's not the person,
So
definitely, that they want.
Correct.
That is the thing, anybody could step forward. So it could be the sister that you fell out with years ago. It could be a child that hasn't been in contact with you forever.
So we say this all the time, that, you know, you just hope that it's the right person that would want to step forward. But we've got over 250,000 clients, so we're going to see every single scenario, and we see it quite often, don't we?
Yes,
and we see horrible things happening to young people, we see horrible things happening to old people, and then we see lovely things happening all the time.
Yeah.
We just have to help you plan for the worst but hope for the best. And it was just interesting when you said, oh, your loved one has to step forward, is the first thing, is it going to be the person you would have chosen for yourself? Because if you're incapacitated, who's going to step forward? Is it going to be...
You can't say, no, I don't want them. Don't let them do it, because...
You've lost capacity.
I rather inappropriately laughed at one client's answer to a question about who she wanted her attorneys to be. And she said, bearing in mind the children were present, she said, well, it's got to be my daughter because my son's thick.
Oh.
You can't say that about your own child, can you?
Apparently you can.
But apparently you can, because he just laughed his head off, and she's right.
That's good.
And I thought, oh, that's all right. But,
As long as everyone's laughing.
but then she did qualify it by saying, he's not good with money, but my daughter is.
Yeah.
So I would want my daughter to be the main person to deal with it. But then you think to yourself, right, it's unlikely that it would have been the son that would approach the court of protection. But again, it brings it into focus that when you make this document, you make the choice. because you know who you would want to step into your shoes and manage your affairs the way that you would want them to be managed.
And if it is the loved one that steps forward, it's a big cost to try and get all this sorted, isn't it? And it takes a long time.
Awful.
Sometimes too long.
Yeah. Well, we're doing a will and a lasting power of attorney offer today for £249, so bear that in mind, because the application fee alone, just for going to the Court of Protection, is the best part of £500.
Well, you can see just some of the costs there.
Well, big 421, I may have exaggerated a little, but yeah, you can see the cost. It's £1,100 just to get the ball rolling. If you do it yourself,
that's without any professional advice.
that's you filling out all the forms,
Oh,
dealing
my
with the
goodness.
court, not taking any professional assistance at all. And you'll notice that supervision fee is an annual fee, so the court also applies a fee for supervising you as a deputy. And in some cases, even if you're granted the deputyship order, there'll be a limit, there'll be a control on how much you can spend without having to seek further permission to
Well,
spend
you said
that
about
money.
a wife who wanted to pay school fees and
Yeah.
she had to go back to the court
Each time.
to allow her to pay the school fee. And often they would have had a joint account. It doesn't matter, does it?
No.
You need to have lasting power of attorney to control.
The common myths and misconceptions that we hear all too often are, well, we've got jointly held assets. But what people fail to understand, and again, you don't think it through, but if you think about it logically, if one of those joint owners is unable to sign, unable to act, that joint asset gets frozen.
Of course it does.
If you own a
yeah.
property jointly and you want to sell that property, you can't sell that property because you can't sign on behalf of that person if you haven't got the authority to do so. Likewise with joint bank accounts, you can't act with the joint bank account with one of you unable to act. So that's why the lasting power of attorney is really, really important. And another sort of, and I understand the assumption, married couples think, well, it'll be okay because I'll just be able to act for my wife or I'll just be able to act for my husband. But if you think about it for just a second, can you walk into your wife's or your husband's bank now and access any accounts that they've got?
No.
No, when you think about it, no, you can't.
If you've ever tried phoning any company or any establishment where you're not the account holder, the first thing you get hit with is data protection, and the second you're not the account holder, it's I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Stops,
And that's,
isn't it? Yeah.
and that's where
And
it
that's
ends.
for absolutely anything. And when you think about it, that's exactly how it's going to be. And
But
even
with-
worse if someone was poorly.
With power of attorney, you become that person as such,
Correct.
so then you have control. It's so important with your lasting power of attorney. It's so important with the wills as well. And the offers that Simpler Law have got for us are spectacular. But what you've got to do is take that first step and get in touch, whether it's the phone, whether it's the website, or whether you just text the word will to 66777.
We will go back to wills, but have a little look at all the prices. We've got wills, lasting power of attorney, and we've got the joint will and lasting power of attorney. Now, you have got an incredible saving. It was our New Year offer. It did so well, was so popular, but sadly, lots of you miss out on the end of the offer. This is until the close of business on Friday, and this is why we say get in contact today, because we do tend to forget. It'll be the weekend before you know it. Lots of people wanted that 20% back, and we've actually, at Simpler Law, have allowed us to do that for the show. So please grab it whilst you've got the chance. So you've got, of course, the will there, normally £249. You have got an incredible saving with us normally at £124, but of course you've got that extra 20% off, so £99 is your price, and you can split that cost with 4 payments. And when you split that cost, this is for your will, to make sure what you've worked so hard for goes to the people that you want it to go to. £24.75, that's the first of 4 that's all it's going to cost. And you'll spend, I know you'll probably spend that more on coffee, more on a night out for sure. Honestly, popping into the supermarket and getting perhaps a bottle of milk, how much do you end up spending when you come out? You have got such an incredible deal on the will, but actually, check out the lasting power of attorney as well.
Yeah, the deals that we've got with lasting power of attorney, absolutely spectacular. The suggested retail price, £349. Well, the offer price at £239 would be a great offer, but with the extra 20% off, comes down to £189. And with those 4 interest-free payments, you're looking at £47.25 on your first of 4 payments there.
And in the gallery, they're going, you wouldn't get a night out for £99. Higher. So that's the lasting power of attorney. Split that cost as well, makes it so affordable, like we say, at £47.25. pence. That's the first of those payments. All you're doing tonight, remember, securing the deal. You don't need any information at all. And it might be that you secure the deal and actually you say, I want to do my will. And as you watch the show, you'll think, oh, gosh, I wish I'd done the lasting power of attorney and will, because look at the saving there. I'm saving much more than I'm spending. So if you do decide and change your mind, they will honour all of these prices as long as you get in contact and do it right now. So the will and lasting power of attorney should be $598. Our normal sale or sort of discount price is $315, but you have got an incredible price because you've got that extra 20% off, $249, which when you split it again, £62.25. That's the first of those 4 payments. And don't forget as well, the first 250 people will get this fabulous book, which we will go into more detail a little bit later on in the show. But in there is all the information your family will be hunting for if you do pass. So all the things that, you know, they won't know, but they will need to know.
Well, all the regular things can be things like pensions, life policies, bank account details, but then things that you might not think of, all your digital accounts, your passwords, things like your phone, your laptop, it might be your mobile computer. So whatever you think of, you can have it all registered and secured in one place.
Because now it's not just letters you're looking for.
No.
Lots of it will be emails, but actually perhaps it's sentimental things. Perhaps you know there's a great video on your mum or your dad's phone or tablet, or there's some beautiful photographs,
Pictures, yeah.
but they're all lost unless you have that information, and you know all that information is in that book. And it's only the first 250 people that get that, so do make sure you get in contact. And all you're doing is getting in contact, and this is the way to do it. You're securing the prices, you're not answering any questions tonight, you are just securing those deals. And of course you can either go directly to simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. The team are actually in the call centre.
Yeah, they're there right through till 3 a.m. If you are watching on +1, obviously you can go to the website or you can text the word will. But if you want to call the team right now, you don't need any documents, you don't need anything with you, you're just securing these offers. 0333 600 2600 to call the call centre, or you can text the word will. This is always the busiest on these shows, these late night shows that we do. You don't need to speak to anyone, you just text the word will, WILL, to 66777.
And I bet your phone's right there. You're probably looking at your phone while you're watching the TV. It's done. You've secured the price. As easy as that, you've secured that price. You've taken that first step, which sometimes is the bit we don't manage to do, and then it never gets done. Take that first step and have that peace of mind that it will. You are going to get it sorted. Perhaps that was, you know, that this year you're going to get things into place. That's one thing sorted, or
Don't
2
mention the
things
carpet.
sorted. Oh, gosh.
Don't get us started
I looked
on
at it as we
carpet.
came down the stairs today. We've got a stair carpet, honestly, that is so embarrassing. I look like this through the door to the postman because I don't want him to see the stairs. It's threadbare in places.
Because we haven't taken that first step.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Take the
We're
first
desperate
step.
to get a new carpet, but we just don't get round to ringing someone or speaking to someone to do it. We'll be that thrilled when it's done, and you'll be the same. It's that peace of mind. Your will's done, your lasting power of attorney's done. If you do want to go via our website, by the way, you can. Scroll down on the first full page and go to our partners, and you'll see a little symbol there that says Simpler Law. Click onto that, and it'll take you straight through to Simpler Law's website, and it gives you all the details there, actually, the phone, the text, and then, of course, you can fill in the form as well. And that form is really easy. Even I would pass that test. And then you just submit that form. And again, you've secured the price. You have got to close the business on Friday, but you forget, don't you, if you don't do it right. Now, how many times have you missed those flights? They've gone up £700. That holiday, all of a sudden, it's double the price. If you'd only booked it yesterday, do it right now and secure those prices. And then the team will get back in touch later on today or tomorrow to sort out a time. Even if you're going away for a couple of weeks now, they'll ring back and sort out a time that's
It's all about you.
convenient for you.
It's all around you, the convenience for your appointment, if you like, as you go through. Now, we are going to go back to wills. No, we'll be really busy on this offer. It's that extra 20% off. It brings it down to less than £100 for a will, and you can spread the cost £24.75 on your first of 4 payments. So if you're at home and you're thinking, oh, I'm too young to write my will, I haven't got anything.
Everybody needs a will. And though you might think this all right, perhaps you've told the kids what you want to happen. We've been together 35 years, so obviously what's mine is Sean's, what Sean is mine. And the family would know that, but that's not good enough. If you haven't written a legally binding will, The really awful thing is there is a will that's been written for you, and that is what we call the government will. And that will automatically fall in place. It's 100 years old, and it isn't right for anybody. And we're going to talk to Simpler Law about that, because honestly, Simpler Law make it so easy and so affordable, don't they?
It's really straightforward. It's not complicated, writing a will, and that's what you might be thinking. That might be what's put you off. So Ian and Georgia are with us from Simpler Law to answer all the questions and explain why everything's so simple, so straightforward. Ian, we're talking about wills, and a will is for everyone, isn't it? That's the important thing.
Absolutely. I think your last act on planet Earth should be yours.
And it is. It's your last gift to your loved ones.
It absolutely is your last gift to your loved ones. You know, and you've worked hard for everything that you've got, and you've no doubt have got a good idea of where you would want that to go to. And wealth is relative. There's always something that we've got to leave to somebody, or there's always accounts that need closing down. Making a will is just really, really selfless. But if you don't make your own will, the government step in and give you a default will, which nobody wants, because that's the one that creates the biggest problems with families. It can often mean that your estate pays more tax than it needed to pay, because frankly it doesn't care about you or your family, because it wasn't designed to. It was just designed as a backstop for all those people that haven't made their own will.
Though you think that's so wrong, there's got to be something. And this is the something. It's 100 years old, so obviously life was very different then. And it is very much just yes, no answers. And it doesn't care that Sean and myself have been together 35 years. It doesn't care if you're remarried with children from different relationships.
So if it was us, Ian, for example, how would it go? What would be the
so whoever passed away first, the question would be asked, were they married in a civil partnership? It wouldn't ask if you've been together 35 years, do you cohabit? It's just, are you married in a civil partnership, yes or no? The answer would be no. The next question would be, do you have children? And whatever the answer is to that. And then it goes down to brothers and parents, and then brothers and sisters, and stays in your bloodline.
Right.
But all the while moving away from the person that you built your life with, or the partner you spent your life with. And this is one of the hardest things I think that we see, is a bereavement is bad enough, but it's often made worse when there isn't a will in place, because sometimes that person has expressed what they would want to happen, or said, oh, don't worry, John, remember you're getting my watch, and don't worry, you're getting the car, and that can't happen unless there's a legally binding will specifying those gifts. So when you make your own will, it's all about you, and it's all about your family. And when we speak to you, it's always about, what do you want to happen? What would you like to see happen? What do you want to achieve? And your will is all about your estate and your family. The government will is all about just making sure the estate gets distributed according to a set of wills. Now, there's only 4 of us sat around this table this morning, but we would all get the same will if we died intestate.
Yeah.
You extrapolate that out over the millions of UK adults, and that's why it doesn't work, for want of a better description, because it was never designed to care for you or your family. It was just designed as a default position. Because whilst it sounds melodramatic, imagine there'd be anarchy if it was a free-for-all.
Yeah.
If you died and you didn't have a will, oh, it's okay, do what you want. That was obviously never going to work. So that's why this default position exists. But that's what it is. It's a backup. So please don't die with a government backup. Do something really, really selfless and make a will.
For the sake of £99.
And I think lots of us think, you think it's going to be all right. We thought, well, we've lived together for all this time, common law.
No, that's what we presume. Again, all those misconceptions.
There's always a pub quiz champion who'll tell you something that all the professional experts with all the qualifications in the world couldn't possibly know. Oh, it's okay, you're common law husband and wife. And you go, oh, okay, then. I think we'll be fine.
Go,
but even if you're married with a family, and so often now families are married and you've got children from different relationships, yet you're all one big family. The kids don't see themselves as stepsisters and stepbrothers and things. Even if you're married with children, that government will doesn't work for them either, does it?
No, I mean, the first thing to know about married couples under the rules of intestacy, they're not even guaranteed to inherit everything off each other when one of them dies, because there's a limit.
There's a cap, isn't there?
There's only the first 322,000 that moves to a surviving spouse. But even if we gave an example, let's say there's someone with an estate of £250,000, and Mr's got children from a previous relationship on his second marriage, Mrs has got children from her previous relationship, they're on the second marriage. If Mr died first, forgive the finger puppets, by the way, I must do better next time. But if Mr died first, everything would pass to Mrs., which might seem fine, that's what they would want to happen. But it's when Mrs. dies, so it's on second death, that then they realise that actually the rules of intestacy have pushed everything down her bloodline to the exclusion of his bloodline.
So his children won't get anything?
His children have got no claim and no provision whatsoever.
Oh, my goodness.
And this could be a family unit that sees themselves in nothing other than a family. As you said, don't see each other as stepbrother and stepsister, that kind of thing.
And then that could be a big family upset because...
Well, the parents understandably assume, because they see it as a family unit. They don't see two different bloodlines, but that's the difference in the law. With the rules of intestacy, it does see two different bloodlines. And then sometimes what we hear is, well, it'll be fine anyway because the kids will sort it out between themselves. But that's a huge risk and a huge burden to put on your children.
To put on someone,
I think as well it's really important to remember that the government world does not cater to your specific needs and circumstances. So, for example, for myself, it's very similar to you two. I've been with my partner a good few years now, but we're not married. So if anything happened, whilst, again, my family would know, in the eyes of the law, that's completely irrelevant.
That's not what's going to happen, is it?
Completely irrelevant, and they won't listen to that, which is really sad.
The other thing, Georgia, with a will, I think a lot of people at home will think, with a will, it's all about your money.
Yeah, you might think, well, I've got nothing, but you've probably got a house, or you've got a car.
£250,000, that could be your house, couldn't it, easily?
Look, and wealth is relative, let's be honest. If whatever you've got, even if it's... The thing with a will is it's personal. You can even put things in there like your funeral wishes and, organ donation preferences.
Well, pets, children.
Oh, sometimes we do a consultation like, give the kids half of everything. They can split everything equally. Right, now let's talk about what I want to happen with my dog. And you're like, whoa.
Right, who's going to look after it?
Like, I've done the kids. The kids are okay. Now let me tell you, the dog has, and there's 3 different provisions. If they don't go to Barbara, they go to Joan. If they don't go to Joan, and you're like,
but with a will, you can do that, can't you? There's so much you can do, which I don't think you'd realise unless you sat down and chatted with you.
We love that.
No, exactly.
There's so much. We're going to put a list on the screen for you. Georgia, this is just some of the things that you can do with your will, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the beautiful things about having a will is everything is well within your control as well.
It's your document, isn't it?
Exactly, and you can personalise it specifically to yourself, your circumstances, your loved ones, and it just gives you that peace of mind that everything's sorted in the event of your death, for example, but it just takes that pressure off your family and everything that you said was going to happen happens for them.
I love what you always say, that both of you, that once you've done it, you just forget about it. It's a weight lifted off your shoulders, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the end of every consultation with our clients ends virtually the same way. Like, that was all right.
Yeah. I think some people think it's going to be... We've got friends, and we've become very much like you now. We sit down with people and say, have you got a will? We're like, you've got to get a will. And we've got friends that hadn't got a will. And we're like, what do you mean you haven't got... Like us, aren't married. We're like, why haven't you got... You've got to write your will. And they were like, it's going to be too complicated. Our situation is too complicated. It's never too complicated, is it? You must hear every sort of story and aspect that's out there.
We panic if a client says, oh, you like me because ours is dead straightforward. That's when we go, oh. Uh-oh.
You know it's going to be trouble.
And look, understandably, people will think, well, mine's really complex because they've not been through the process typically. And obviously, I know the friends you're talking about. And they spoke with Charlotte, and Charlotte was able to, guide them through it.
Yeah.
And they said how easy it was afterwards.
The hardest part, I maintain the hardest part about this client journey, if you like, is tonight. Is if you're watching this tonight and you've got your phone next to you, the hardest thing to do, believe it or not, is just text the word will to 66777. But you won't regret that you did that. What can happen is your family regret that you didn't make a will. But no one ever regrets making a will because there's nothing to regret. And there's no risk neither, because even if you're going through the consultation and you go, this is nothing like Ian said on the TV show, this person is horrible, I don't like... But in all seriousness, if you're going through the consultation and they said, no, it was... You've explained your experience, our Trustpilot reviews show that our clients have a good relationship with the consultant because they don't say Simple Law did a good job, truthfully. No. They say Charlotte did a good job, or Kylie did a good job, or Jack did a good job, because that's the person that they're dealing with. And we know our consultants are so highly trained, and this is all they do. We know to hold your hand in a non-patronising way and go at your speed. So the hardest thing is getting
in contact.
to speak to the consultant.
And you are award-winning, and this is all you deal with, isn't it?
Well, I take full credit for that, I'll be honest with you.
No, that's because of your team. But you do look after them so well.
Look, the team are brilliant, and, you know, it all has to work. It's one big machine, isn't it, from the guys who are making the appointments. So just to give you a really high level how this works, you text the word will tonight to us, and we'll give you a call tomorrow at a reasonable time and ask you when is a good time for you to sit down and go through the consultation. You tell us when you're available, so we book that in the appointment. We'll confirm that with you. We'll send you some information in the meantime, so give you some things to think about. Don't worry if you have time to read it or not, because some people do, some people don't. But at that consultation then, we'll phone you at the agreed time. We hold your hand through the whole process because we've got all the questions, you've got all the answers. And at the end of it, you'll get your will. But we'll only produce your documents when you're 100% happy with the instructions you've given us and you're 100% happy with the advice that we've given you, because everybody is different. And at the end of the day, all that's important to us is that you understand what we've recommended to you. You decide whether you take all of our advice, some of it, or none of it. Because at the end of the day, it's your will, not ours. It's your family, not ours. And then we produce that document, we get that out to you, and then we follow that up to make sure that we help you sign, date and witness it correctly as well.
That's really important as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
The signature has to be a wet signature, it has to be witnessed.
Absolutely, because even in this digital age, without that, it's not valid. And we still know from time to time that we'll speak to clients, you know, 2 or 3 years later, or a client will phone and say, oh, we're moving house. And go, yeah, we've wrote to you a few times and we've contacted you a few times saying we've not seen the documents to check that they're signed, dated and witnessed correctly. Oh, yeah, they're still in a drawer. Like, oh, no. So we do badger you a little bit, but in a nice way, because there's no point going through this and then not signing the document.
Well, that's even worse, because they knew what they wanted, but if it hasn't been signed, that again isn't legal. Sometimes
we see templates that are spoilt where someone's tried to do it themselves. Sometimes we see documents where they've done it but not signed it. So we offer the full service, if you like.
Because what can go wrong with a template? Because people might be watching and think, oh yeah, I'll do it myself. I'll get a template, which you still have to pay for.
Yeah.
And you have to know what you do. You have to fill it in yourself. Yeah. There's no guidance.
No, you've kind of answered your question. I'm always amused by this profession in one sense, because I wouldn't dream of trying to pull a tooth if I needed to take a tooth out. I would go to a dentist. Yeah. If something goes wrong with my car, I take it to a mechanic. Yeah. And yet, on the market, there are templates where you can buy your own, make your own will. Now, bearing in mind, this is a legal document that's your last act on planet Earth, so you need to make sure that you're doing it right. Well, if you're not familiar with all the inheritance tax allowances, for example, or you're not familiar with terminology like first death and second death, or even things like posterpes, which no one listening to this will understand. But we break all that down into plain English for you, because at the end of the day, I keep saying the end of the day a lot, I realise, but it's your will, so it's your instructions, and we simplify that for you. So we make sure that what you want to happen is definitely going to happen. We've never, touch wood, we've never had a will fail, and we've drafted over 300,000. We've never had a will fail, because that's all we do. But we've seen plenty of failures when it comes to templates, because it's not going to give you any advice. It's not going to be there to help you sign it. It's not going to carry professional indemnity insurance for a start. If we do make a mistake, and touch wood we haven't done, I keep going to glass, touch wood we haven't, you're insured for £5 million. That's how confident we are that we do the job right.
It's what you deal with, and haven't you got a story about, was it grandparents that did their own template? Yeah. And because we don't understand legal things, frighten me to death, and terminology, and they'd written it, they knew what they wanted, and you could see what they wanted, but because they'd written it wrong, it was a real mess, wasn't it?
It decided to leave cash gifts to grandchildren, and when they wrote the will, and it was on like a certain well-known high street store's template, when they wrote the will, he'd written something like £20,000 to each of my grandchildren, because there was some guidance on how to fill it out. What the guidance didn't really fully explain is when that gift would be payable from his estate. And when there's a couple, forgive the finger puppets again, but when there's a couple, there's a first death and a second death.
Yeah.
And usually, unless there's lots and lots of cash sloshing around in the estate, Cash gifts, we would usually recommend you make those after you've both passed away.
Yeah.
And in this case, there wasn't a lot of cash. In fact, there was very little cash, but there was they were asset rich. They had a house.
Right.
And when I say they, actually the house was in his name and his name only. So unfortunately, when he passed away, his will actually said that these £20,000 cash gifts were to come out to the grandchildren before it went to his spouse.
Oh, God.
The only way to meet those cash gifts would be to sell the property.
Gosh.
Worse still, when he wrote the will, as we were told, there were 3 grandchildren getting £20,000 each. When he died, there were 8. So now there's £160,000 that was due to go to grandchildren. We would have just never written the will that way. We would have explained what needed to happen, and we would have done it right. So again, difficult times made much worse. The family are now having to navigate their way through. It's frustrating because he knew he needed a will.
Yeah, and he knew what he wanted.
And
it
he
was
will have
just
paid for that will.
written, yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
done a job, but it's been the wrong job.
Yeah, we've actually had instances before, and our legal team have come across it more than once, sadly, where I remember one particular client, they did a will with a template through WH Smith, and they wrote it out, but obviously not understanding all the legalities around it or the disaster clauses and things like that. The will actually failed, and it reverted back to the government will.
Yeah.
So again, another risk, and one of the bonuses of having somebody do it for you who's properly trained in that area.
Yeah, and they've known what they wanted. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've known what they wanted, but it hasn't been delivered.
You can only know what you know, so you
Yeah.
can't. There's no. I think
field
the
of
criticism should be
expertise.
levelled at the people that are producing the templates, truthfully, because it's almost encouraging. Going, oh look, it's really easy. This,
Yeah, and it's not.
but no. Well, imagine your friends trying to do it on a template.
Oh gosh, no! God, my word, no! There would have been
Definitely not.
no chance.
But yet we were able to simplify
Yeah.
it and
Yeah.
get it right. So that's
Yeah.
And I think another thing is, our friends thought that their situation was too complicated. I think a lot of people worry as well that perhaps they've got a family member that they're not in contact with anymore, and perhaps they
Yeah.
don't want to leave something to a child, or leave a bit more to a child that's been helping to look after them.
Yeah.
And that's not unusual, is it? When
Not
you
at
sit
all.
down, you'll chat through this, and that's not unusual. You can do as you wish.
I think the reason those fridge magnets exist that say friends of the family that choose for yourself, quite often some clients might feel a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
And they've no need to, but they might feel a little bit awkward in sort of saying, well, I haven't got a relationship with my son or my daughter, we've not spoken for 20 years. So, with that in mind, we'd rather he didn't inherit, or we'd want him to only get a small part of the estate or whatever. And that's absolutely fine. You'd be amazed how often that happens. We're not the Waltons.
No.
Families are complex,
like,
and
yeah.
blood isn't always thicker than water.
Yeah.
But that comes full circle to why you should make a will, because in those situations, if you don't, and you pass away and you've got children, the chances are all the children are going to inherit in equal shares. And if that's really something you don't want to do, that could just be the single reason for making a will. When you make a will, you choose who's going to administer it. So you choose your executors, the people that are going to carry out your wishes. If you've got young children, you choose what age they inherit, because if you don't make a will, they're going to inherit when they turn 18.
So they could get everything when they're 18.
I know what I was like at 18. That would not be good. It wouldn't have been good for me.
No, it wouldn't have been
Could
good
be
for
gone
me
by the
either.
time you're 19.
Exactly.
So I was going to be slow, was I, with the money? But in all seriousness, we know for it's not.
So you could split when they inherit.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah, and this is not anecdotal. We know for a fact when we speak to parents of younger children, even
Yeah.
grandparents of younger grandchildren, they're saying, can it be 21, 23? And as you just said, sometimes can we stagger it so they get a bit when they're 18, a bit when they're 21, a bit.
Yeah.
And that all makes perfect sense. But without a will, you can't do that. The second they turn 18, they get their share. And staying with children, as you mentioned earlier, you can name guardians in your will. So you can pass on your parental responsibility, so you know that if, God forbid, you're not there to see your children grow up, that you've appointed a guardianship to someone that you know loves your children and will raise them the way that you want them to be raised. All of this stuff is you. If you don't contact us, it can't be you, because the government just says, right, we've got you covered, this is what we're going to do, and it's the quickest, easiest way to administer your estate. And things like guardianship, forget it, it doesn't even care about personal things like that.
Because even if you're, we thought, well, we're godparents to so many children. I thought we'd have to get, flats, but, if anything happens. But that's not legally binding. As godparents, we can't take over the children.
No, it's just a religious status.
religious,
and again, the sort of myths that we talked around, it's not unusual for people to say, it's okay, my sister knows that she's the one that's going to step in. And what you're hoping there is that the court does appoint your sister then in that situation. But again, don't take that risk. Just speak to us. We'll put the guardianship clause in your will and say you want your sister to be the guardian of your children.
And I think it's things you don't think of because you instantly think money, don't you, for a will?
Well,
How
that's
much
where
money
it
I've
starts,
got.
isn't it? But with a will, there's so
children
much more that
inheriting,
you can
what
do.
happens to your children if awfully something happened to both of you? What happens to your pets? You can put that into your will, can't you?
Heirlooms, specific gifts. It could be something that you want to go to a certain someone, couldn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. It doesn't just include pets either. It could be gifts of bank accounts. It could be jewellery. So, for example, your parents, like your mum's engagement rings, things like that. Those really important pieces that mean so much.
And that could cause a real upset if, two sisters are
fighting.
I want it.
Exactly.
But if it's written down and it's been split fairly, it just makes it doesn't make things better, but it
just removes all of that pressure and that responsibility of who gets what and the arguments. Because again, with in times like that, you can be completely grief-stricken, you can be overwhelmed with emotion. Exactly, and it just removes all of that, and it gives you that peace of mind.
We had those two brothers recently who knew that we held a will for their mom, and they basically they were already arguing about music for the funeral, and they knew that there was funeral wishes and an expression of what they wanted to happen. It turned out they were both wrong.
So they both knew that the song it was.
They were both absolutely adamant that they were right, and I shouldn't laugh, but it was quite. It was. But again, it's like, that was quite. It was sort of quite nice that happened that way. It was like, okay, so this is. And all these things that don't seem that important at a time when grief's a factor, emotions are high. Never underestimate just what a wonderful gift a will is, because it's not the first thing that you think of as being like this selfless, wonderful thing. But I promise you, when you're no longer here, if you've left clear instructions on what you want to happen in a legally binding document, that means the government gets nowhere near any of those decisions and it's all your personal choice, that's something amazing that you've done for your family. And the reason we do these shows, we're trying to reach as many people as we can, and also it's the equivalent for just over 80p a day for a will. It doesn't. The price doesn't have to be an objection to doing this.
Because I did think it would be something that was really expensive, and I did think it'd be something that was really complicated, and it's completely the opposite. It's actually, even at full price, really affordable to do. And this is your last gift to your loved ones. And we will speak about, even if you are on your own and you're not in a relationship and you haven't got children, it's so important as a single person to have a will as well. But the great thing is you've got incredible prices tonight because you've got an extra 20% off the normal price, which isn't thousands. And then you've got that peace of mind that it is really easy because you sit down and have a chat like we're having tonight. Yeah,
it's very straightforward. It's a hand-holding service. We'll share some of the reviews with you as we go through the show. And the reviews always mention the certain people that people have dealt with.
Well, the lady we dealt with for my mum's lasting power of attorney, because we dealt with Simpler Law before they worked with us here on Shop on TV, became a friend, and not once, and me and Mum are the biggest worriers. I worry about everything. If there's a flashing light behind us when we're driving, I'm virtually pulling over. It's me, I did it, not even knowing what's happened. And I'm worried about saying the wrong thing, asking a silly question. And not once did I feel I was asking a silly question. I felt so at ease that I could ask anything. And the other nice thing is I felt I could then email if I'd forgotten something. Oh, gosh, I forgot to ask you this. And nothing was too much trouble, honestly. It's a hand-holding situation. They're there to help and make it really easy.
They really are. Let's remind you of the offers quickly, because it's not only wills, it's lasting power of attorney, and we're going to go into that once again in a few moments. But if you want to go for the will offer, it's less than £100. Now, the suggested retail price should be £249, and even at that price, it's a great deal. Our offer price should have been £124, but it comes down to less than £100. It's just £99. Simpler Law will also offer you 4 interest-free payments if you want to split the cost. £24.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments there. And like Hayley always says, think about what you spend on takeaway coffees in a week.
A lot more than that. A lot more than that. We spend £25 in an instant, don't we? If you just pop into the shop for a bottle of milk, you come out and all of a sudden it was £50 that you spent. You're like, how did I do that? I haven't even got a meal here. So honestly, it's money so well spent, and it is so affordable, especially splitting that cost. But you must get in contact tonight and secure those deals. That's what you're doing, is securing these prices. And remember, it's a real special that you've got this extra 20% off. It was our New Year's Eve offer, or our New Year offer, and it's come back because of demand, really. Lots of you missed out because there is always a deadline. Close of business on Friday is the deadline, but do it now, because it will be Saturday before you know it and you'll have forgotten to do it. Lasting power of attorney, which we've been talking about previously, and we will go back into more detail about that, just as important as a will, should be $349. Our regular price is going to be $239, but your price tonight is having that extra 20% off. So $189 is your price. And again, when you split that, it's £47.25. That's 4 payments of that, which again, we got a takeaway the other night, just for us. There was enough for mum, but it was for 2 people, and it was £61. Honestly, it's money that you normally spend, but you're spending on something that is so important. And then I think lots of you might go for the will first of all, and then as you watch the show, think, oh gosh, I wish I'd said I'd do the lasting power of attorney as well, because you're saving so much here. If you decide that, it's not the end of the world. As long as you've secured the prices tonight, Simpler Law will allow you to have any of those deals, because that will and lasting power of attorney is a great offer.
Yeah, the value, it should be almost £600. The offer price was going to be $315, but with that extra 20% off, it comes down to £249. And with those interest-free payments, that you can spread the cost just $62.25 on your first of 4 interest-free payments there. Remember, the first 250 clients will also receive that free book. It's called What My Family Should Know, and basically in here you can record everything in one place. Things like your pensions, things like your life insurances, but things like digital accounts as well. And Ian, this came about when you were... Well, you tell the story, why this came about, this particular
It was born out of our estate administration department, so we don't just help our clients today at day one, we're there throughout their lifetime, and we can assist at the point of need. And the estate administration department, part of the job of an executor is gathering in the estate. So it's like you joked about mum's cubby holes.
Yeah.
You have to gather in all the assets and find everything. Obviously, as professionals, we've got certain tools that can help to do that. But what became really fascinating is what we discovered when we were putting this together to help families gather this information. It's believed in the UK there's £5 billion of unclaimed pensions.
5 billion.
5 billion. Because obviously people have passed away before they've claimed a pension, they've had frozen pensions from previous jobs, and the family just haven't found them. So 5 billion. Likewise with life insurance policies, £2 billion of life insurance policies that have never been claimed.
Gosh.
And it's also believed there's about £850 million sloshing around in UK banks that, again, should be with loved ones. So this book was born out of that, to say, take a little bit of time out, document what you've got, and it just makes life that little bit easier for your family when you're no longer here. But really important, and I know you've had personal experience of this as well, is I grew up in a decade where people had genuine albums with the photos stuck in, and Whitby 1976 wrote at the bottom and stuff like that are all a bit crusty and yellow. And of course albums tend to be digital now, and videos tend to be digital and that kind of thing. And if they're on a cloud somewhere, or they're actually on a device, and you don't have the PIN to that or the password to that, that can be heartbreaking as well, because how do you get access to those memories? So even documenting things like that. So yeah, it's been really well received, this, and as you've said, the first 250 people that secure a deal this morning get one absolutely free.
So get in contact them, because they always go. And that actually happened to one of our family members. A gentleman died and wasn't meant to, wasn't poorly, it was from absolutely nowhere. And they couldn't get onto his tablet, and they desperately needed to get information off his tablet. And they just couldn't. There's no way, if you don't know the password, of actually getting that password. And luckily, it was only, they were sat having a chat, and the grandson walked past, and he heard them saying about Grandad's tablet. And he was like, I know the password because I play games on there. And that was the only way they managed to get on. Otherwise, they would never have got the information that they needed. So really vital information. It really makes you think, and I think everybody should have that book. So make sure you don't miss out. Get in contact either via the phones, via the website, or texting is the easiest way. It's so easy. Do it right now. Though you've got these deals to the close of business on Friday, the reason we're repeating this New Year offer is so many people did miss out. They forget that date. All of a sudden, it's 2 weeks later and they haven't done it. So you've got the opportunity to make sure you do. Do it today, though, so you don't get to Saturday and think, oh, gosh, I was meant to ring yesterday, because the offer, it will have gone back up in price. So go to simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV, so you can go via the website. You can jump onto the phones. The team are there in the the office right now, waiting for your call.
0333 600 2600 is the phone number. Just to remind you, you don't need anything with you. You don't need any documents. You don't need any answers. It's just about securing those offers and taking that first step to write your will and to get a lasting power of attorney. The texting service, though, is always the busiest. If you've got your phone there with you right now, just text the word will to 66777 and the team will get back to you either later today or tomorrow. You've secured those offers. You've secured that book that we were just talking about.
I think what we're really rubbish at is doing things right now, aren't we? We'll do it tomorrow, and then all of a sudden tomorrow's already gone. It's already spring. I must do that. And then it's summer, and then all of a sudden it's Christmas again. And one day it is going to be too late. So do it right now, and you've done, I think, the trickiest thing, taken that first step. And then honestly, it'll be a weight off your shoulders, because Simpler Law make it so easy. You can go via our website as well. Just scroll down on that first page, and then we've got our partners, and you'll find a Simpler Law little box. Click onto that and it'll take you through to Simpler Law's website as well, and all the deals, phone number, the text, it's all there. Or you can fill in that really simple form and submit, and then what you've done is made sure you don't miss out on these deals and the extra 20% off, because it is a special that will finish at the close of business on Friday. But as I say, do it now so you don't forget.
Now we're going to talk about lasting power of attorney, and this is something that you might have heard of, but you're not quite sure what it is, what it entails, whether you need it.
Yeah, I think sometimes you've heard of it because you've heard a horrible story where it was too late. Someone's in a situation they needed to have had the lasting power of attorney.
So, Georgia, can you explain to everyone at home what a lasting power of attorney is in layman's terms if they don't know?
Yeah, of course. So it's basically a legal document whereby you choose somebody to step into your shoes and make decisions for you in the event that you lose capacity.
And when you lose capacity, it could be things like if you've had an accident.
Yeah, I think it's myriad things. It's a common misconception that it's only dementia or old age where it triggers loss of capacity and things like that. But unfortunately, as much as you don't want to think it'll ever happen to you, there are scenarios that come about where it could be a serious illness, it could be an accident. We had a client actually a long time ago now, but they're only young, late teens, early 20s. They had a really serious accident and they ended up losing capacity, and they didn't have a lasting power of attorney in place.
And then it can become really difficult, and we'll explain the reason it becomes difficult and what you've got to do if you don't have lasting power of attorney. But there are two different types. The first one's property and affairs, isn't it?
Yes, property and financial affairs, that one. So it does exactly what it says on the tin. So in the event that you lose capacity, it allows somebody to step into your shoes and effectively make those decisions, whereby it be the big decisions such as selling a property, or even the smaller decisions such as accessing your bank account for a weekly food shop. So it just takes
because all of those things you think, well, it's my loved one, you know, it's my partner, it's my husband, it's my wife, it's my mum, it's my dad. Everybody knows that I'm going to look after them, so I'll be able to sort all that out. But then when you really think about it, I can go into mum's bank now and take money out. So those things are, or if I ring up even to change her phone, I needed to ring about her phone. They want to speak to mum. You can't control anything without.
No, exactly. I mean, my partner actually has a family member who sadly suffers with dementia, and it was one specific circumstance. The window cleaner came over, and she couldn't pay him. So she needs somebody there with that lasting power of attorney to be able to do simple things such as pay the window cleaner.
Yeah.
So it's a massive array of things, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It always sounds so trivial when you just talk about these little things like paying a bill, doing a weekly food shop, or.
But life carries on, doesn't it? So all those things need to be done.
Understandably,
and if it's taken away.
if we throw the quilt back in the morning, it's right that we take that for granted a little bit. You know, we throw the quilt back and we get on with our day and we just deal with our day. But if you did just take a breath for a second and said, well, if I didn't throw the quilt cover back that morning, who would do the things that I normally do?
That need to be done.
Yeah, and you know, some people will say, well, quite a bit's automated these days, but is it all automated? Is there phone calls that you need to make? Are there institutions that you deal with? Is there money that you have to move around? Like my wife and I, we have a joint account, but we also have our own accounts from when we first got together over 20 years ago. And the joint account is a bills account, so we both put money in there, but we do it sort of manually every...
Yeah.
Even now that we've been together 20 years, you know, what's Jeannie's is
so.
mine and what's mine is Jeannie's. Hang on, let me just rephrase that. What's mine is Jeannie's and what's Jeannie's is Jeannie's. Sorry, I got it right the second time. But in all seriousness, whilst Jeannie can't walk into my bank account today and access my money, she certainly can't do that if I've lost capacity.
No.
But of course, we've got lasting powers of attorney, as you would expect, which means that if anything did happen to either of us, we can step into each other's shoes and just make sure that everything that we do now keeps happening.
And even that joint account, because I do think a lot of people think, well, we've got a joint account, so that's going to be fine. But actually, it's not going to be fine because it's a joint account.
You've
so
both got
one
to have
person,
capacity.
hasn't got capacity. That account.
For want of a better description, you both have to be able to sign something, don't you? You both have to be able to act. And if one half of you is incapacitated, obviously you can't act, and so those assets are frozen. So even bank accounts are frozen. You know, if you think about it logically, like if you own a house jointly, and one of you is incapacitated, so through ill health or an accident, and you think, right, we need to sell this. We're going to downsize, or I need to sell this house because you know it's not right for us to have. You can't sell it without the authority of the person that's incapacitated, because they need to sign as well.
You both need to sign, yeah.
And this is a realisation that far too many people come to when it's too late to do anything about it,
And there's two different types, Georgia, isn't there? Because there is also, when we came in initially to Simpler Law, because we met Simpler Law doing the lasting power of attorney for my mum originally, we came for the financial side. But when we sat down and chatted, because that's what you do, and it's as easy as that, honestly, you mentioned there was a health and welfare, and to me, this is just as important as the financial side.
Absolutely, because again, in the instance that you've lost capacity, who's dealing with the doctor for you?
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of those things.
Because you can't speak to the doctor, can you, without that person's permission?
Yeah, exactly.
I've had that just recently with Mum. I had to fill in loads of forms, but then she's all right now. But if she wasn't well, I couldn't have done that. No,
exactly. And that's another thing that people take for granted. It's small things like doctor's appointments. So again, if you lose capacity, how are you going to get to the doctors? How are you going to speak to the doctors? How are you going to know what you need to do? And it's important that you have that person, or you have that trusted person that you've appointed to be able to do all those things and take care of you.
And on this list, I mean, when we look at this, it's things like arranging your daily routine. What you wear, what you eat.
Well,
again, there's a danger that it sounds trivial.
No, it's not.
But it's not when it's taken away from you.
And it's not when you're in that situation, when you've got a loved one perhaps in a home, and you know, my friend, she's vegetarian, but without someone being in control of that, they could have, you know, made her eat meat, and that she loved certain clothes and wearing makeup. My Auntie Cora loved her nails, but they were really important things.
Yeah. There are big decisions up there as well. You know, you can choose where you live, which is a big thing, especially if someone, you know, if a local authority is trying to put your loved one in a care home that's miles away and things like that. So I like what George says when these lasting power of attorneys deal with the big things and the little things. Yeah. But sometimes the little things are more important to that individual. You know, like what makeup they wear in the morning. Yeah. You know, like you said, what they eat. And in some cases, the people that they see. We talked about exclusions in a will.
Yes.
You know, if there's a family member that you've decided you don't ever want to see again, you've made that very clear, but they've found out that you're in perhaps a care facility or you know, in some kind of care, but you've not donated your voice, what's to stop them then turning up? Gosh. So there's all these little things to take into consideration. And I always think I'm aware of how trivial it sounds when you're talking about what you wear, what you eat. But if you said to anyone now that's got capacity, by the way, today you can't decide what clothes you're going to wear, you can't decide what you're going to eat, and you can't decide where you're going to go, we'd soon have a problem with that.
Of course,
So we have an even bigger problem with that when our loved one's incapacitated and you can't do anything about it. So again, the lasting power of attorney's actually really selfless again, but clearly you're doing it for yourself because you know the people that you appoint are people that you love and trust to step into your shoes and do the right thing by you.
A neighbour just recently, her husband, they took him into hospital, and they weren't going to allow him home. They said he needs to go into a care home, and she was like, no, I want to look after him. I want him to come home. And if she hadn't have had lasting power of attorney, that would
They
have been...
could have stopped that, couldn't
I
they?
think there was actually a case in the news, it was a number of years ago now, but a very similar circumstance. So mother went into a care home and the daughter, she wasn't totally satisfied and she wanted to bring the mum home to care for her, but she didn't have a lasting power of attorney. So she removed her from the care home, and 2 days later, social services came banging on the door and took the mother back.
Oh, no.
And because she didn't have a lasting power
With
of
a tiny
attorney...
police presence, if I remember the story
There was,
correctly.
yeah, there was, yeah. And it actually led to a legal battle spanning several months. She did eventually win, thankfully, but again, it would have cut all of that out, all of that cost, just by half an hour consultation, getting that in place.
Yeah, because there is, like there's a government will, if you haven't written a will, the government will falls into place. There is ways and means of sort of getting a lasting power of attorney to look after your loved one if you haven't got it when they fall poorly, but it's not easy and it's so expensive. What would we do if we didn't have lasting power of attorney and you desperately wanted to look after your loved one?
So the difference with this route, it's not a default position like with a will. We know if we pass away without a will, we get this default government will. If you lose capacity, there isn't an automatic default, but what exists is something called a court of protection, and someone can go to the court of protection. Now, the first question you've got to ask is, would the someone going to court of protection be the person you would have chosen for yourself? So that's out of your control, sadly. But hopefully it's someone you would have chosen for yourself to act. They go to the court of protection and they apply for what's called a deputyship order. Now, that's a really expensive process, but worse, in my opinion, than the money is the length of time that it actually takes to get through that application process, which is still taking anything up to a year. So you imagine you're wanting to devote your energy and your time into caring for your loved one, and you're dealing with a bureaucratic system that's basically checking to see if you are the right person to be given a deputyship order.
And awfully in that year, that could be actually too late, couldn't it?
Sadly, yeah. And I'd be lying if I said that didn't happen more often than we'd like to.
And you're spending all
about,
that time focused on
all those precious moments. You're fighting to look after them, and actually all you wanted to do was sit and look after
and all
them.
those monetary costs that you just saw there, obviously you've got to pay
It's
for.
a crystal ball moment, truthfully. You know, let's be really clear, a lasting power of attorney is not an insurance policy, but we will insure lots of things in our lives, you know, things that we can see, things that we think we need. You know, we'll insure our boiler, we'll insure our car, we'll insure our home, we'll insure our pets against big vet bills and things like that. We'll insure our electrical devices, but we often forget about ourselves and our loved ones. And the reason I say that is a lasting power of attorney is a document that you want to have, but then a hope that you never need it. And coming back to the crystal ball, if you had a crystal ball and could see that your life was perfect and everything was okay, then yeah, of course, don't bother. It's not even a gamble because you know. But our job is to help you think about the worst and plan for it, but at the same time, hope for the best. In the weirdest way, the best thing that could happen is you have a lasting power of attorney and your family never need to use it. But you've planned for the worst, and unfortunately, we know, and everyone knows, that I don't think there's anyone virtually now untouched by dementia, for example, either directly or indirectly. So we're all, human nature is it's not going to happen to us, it's always going to happen to someone else. Well, we just encourage you for 30 seconds just to plan for the worst, just in case. And that's why we suggest that you have a power of attorney.
When we did mums, it was just a weight off our shoulder, and then we've forgotten about it. We never even think about it. I only ever think about it when we sit down and have this conversation. Completely forgotten about it. We've registered it. It's all sorted, because we do register it.
Yeah, my wife and I did ours 20 years ago. But you're right, we don't dwell on it. Obviously, we talk about it because this is what we do for a living, but I don't go around every day going, no, I don't wear a badge, I've got a lasting power of attorney. And likewise with a will, you know, it's something that you do and you put it to one side and go, oh, right, I've done it. I love the end of a consultation because it ends virtually the same every single time with a client saying, I'm glad I did that. No one ever regrets putting a will or a lasting power of attorney in place because genuinely, there is nothing to regret. It's not like the picture I saw of me with a mullet. That was regrettable. With a face like this, I didn't need to make it worse. So there are things that you look back on and regret. But here's another slightly harsh but honest statement. You will never regret that you did it, but your family might regret that you didn't. And that's back to the crystal ball. So you've got an opportunity to do something amazing tonight. If you're listening to me now, you can't say that you didn't know that a lasting power of attorney was a good thing. You also can't say that you didn't know that if you didn't have a will, you get the government will. So you've got an opportunity to do something amazing, but the hardest thing, truthfully, is phoning the team now, or sending that text, text the word will to 66777. Because whilst, of course, it's easy to do that, it's also the hardest thing. And it's definitely the hardest part of this process. Because after you speak to one of the team, and I know that's the whole point of the show, is to get you so you can speak to the team, to genuinely believe and understand what we're saying, is it's a nice thing that you're doing. It's an actually positive thing, and you won't regret doing it.
And if you're not happy with things, this is a great thing. You've got complete peace of mind, haven't you?
If I've lied to you tonight, and actually all our consultants are horrible and don't care about you,
and they're not,
and we're going to read some reviews that say exactly the opposite.
Well, let's take the mick out of someone who can't defend herself. Let's say it's Charlotte.
Oh, I'm going to kick her for you.
But in the nicest possible way, let's say you speak to one of our consultants in 10 minutes, and you're like, I don't like this person. This is nothing like I thought it was going to be. It's nothing like Ian said it was going to be on the TV. I want my money back. I'll just give you your money back.
Great.
Yeah, we'll only produce a document for you when you're 100% happy with what you've told us, and you're 100% happy with what we've told you.
And the fact is,
and that'll be at your speed as well.
Yeah, you don't rush at all.
Yeah.
Complete, you honestly, I was back and forth. Oh, I forgot to ask this. Don't rush you at all, and make sure that you sign properly. And you know what you've got is a legally binding will. You know what you've got is your lasting power of attorney, and then you just forget about it. That job is done. We do tend to put things off, don't we, all the time? And if you do that, that job never gets done. It's not that you don't want to do it. Life gets in the way, doesn't it?
Let's take a look at some of the reviews that we were just talking about.
Yes,
because these are the reviews that we talk about when they mention the team.
Ian was very wrong, because they are lovely, his team.
The absolute opposite.
And we were the same, that they become friends, the person you're dealing with.
Julie said this: after making an appointment, I spoke to Sam about making a will. He phoned bang on time and was informative, knowledgeable and helpful. He was patient, listened to my questions and made the whole process very easy. He was polite and courteous, and a credit to Simpler Law all round. Excellent customer service. That was from Julie there. Let's take a look at one from Alan. Alan said our consultant Charlotte, the lovely Charlotte, explained everything in clear, unambiguous terms. Pricing was made clear and cooling off period was explained. Consultant was very pleasant and caring and was sensitive to our needs. All necessary legal terms were explained. That's another great point. And in plain and simple English. So don't think it's going to be complex or complicated.
I think that was one of my worries, that it'd be really confusing, be long words I wouldn't understand. And at no point did I feel like that at all. That Simpler Law make it so simple.
Alison said, great service, extremely helpful and very informative. And Morgan, who managed my will, was extremely pleasant and helpful and made the whole procedure very easy and very clear for me to understand. I couldn't have asked for better. A really nice man.
And there's so many we could probably do the 3 hours on reviews. Honestly, the team are incredible. All you need to do is just get in contact so you can sit down with a team member and just chat like we are tonight and get that will sorted, get that lasting power sorted, and that lasting power of attorney sorted. But remember, get in contact now to secure the prices, because these prices are extra special. They're our New Year's deal that has come back as a special. By popular demand, lots of people, you do tend to forget that closure date, and we have got that close of business on Friday. This is when you can get these deals too. That's why we say do it now, because it will be Saturday before you know it, and you've forgotten to do it. So do it now so you can secure the extra 20% off. And price-wise, I did think that one of the reasons we didn't do a will is I thought it'd be really complicated, but I did think it'd be like thousands.
Yeah, again, I think that's a misconception for people. The suggested retail price for the will is £249. Our offer price should have been £124, but it's under £100 with that extra 20% off. So take advantage right now. All you've got to do is get in touch. £99 can also be brought down even further on those interest-free payments if you choose to spread the cost. Just £24.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments there.
And I say it constantly, but I bet you spend more than that on coffees, on cups of coffee, just to put it into...
Let's ask Ian how much he pays for his little special coffee that he likes to have.
Well, I'm a special kind of stupid, because I won't buy the cans of coffee from a supermarket unless it's on offer. And the same day I refuse to buy that can, I will stop at a certain coffee shop and order my pretentious coconut vanilla latte. and pay a ridiculous amount of money for the pleasure of just having a coffee. £6.40 for one coffee in a car, and it is ludicrous. But lots of us do that, and they're a little treat.
Yeah.
But you're right, to give this some context, for those 4 payments, it's the equivalent of just over 80p a day.
Gosh.
Crazy.
So and that's it. You obviously get your will up front.
yeah.
You don't wait for the payments to be completed. But we just want to make this as accessible and as affordable as possible. So hopefully we've removed the affordability question.
Definitely.
Now it's just a case of, do you want to do it? But please, you've got nothing to lose.
No.
Send the text, make the phone call, because you won't regret doing it.
So that's your will. Then we've also got great offers on the lasting power of attorney that we've just talked
just
about.
been looking at that. So £349 is your normal price. On offer with us, it's $239. But of course, you have got that extra 20% off. That's why you want to secure the deal right now and get it at £189. And again, you can split that cost to 4 payments of £47.25. And you might have been watching, you might have already secured the deal on the will, and you're now sat thinking, oh gosh, I wish I'd said will and lasting power of attorney. As long as you get in contact and secure these prices, Simpler Law will allow you to have whichever deal you go for. And that will and lasting power of attorney, you're saving more than you're spending, so should be £568 there. Our price normally will be £598. My eyes aren't good tonight. Should be $315 at its regular price, but you have got that extra 20% off. So actually £249 is your price for the will and lasting power of attorney, both saving £349. And you can split that cost, so 4 payments of £62.25, making it so affordable. Do remember, do it now, because we do tend to forget things. The weekend will come and you'll think, oh gosh, the offer finished yesterday. We lost a weekend between Christmas and New Year. The deal was amazing. And I said, shall we do it? Should we do it? Kept on, should we do it? Yeah, let's book it. And I booked it.
Well, you didn't book it.
I think if I'm right, I booked it, went to book it on the 1st of November, and the offer finished on the 31st of October, and it had gone up about £600. So did we go away between Christmas and New Year? No. And you do that all the time. You don't miss out on the offer. Do it now so you know you've secured the price.
I think what's really refreshing is the way that you've both just let it go. It's not...
No, it's about 2 years ago, and I'm still bitter. Christmas has never been the same. I'm just like, we could have gone away for like 4 days for nothing. And we didn't.
Life gets in the way, though, doesn't
Yeah.
it? We go to make a decision, and then we go and make a brew, and then something else happens.
Well, you
something
get
else
up tomorrow,
happens.
you get ready for work, you take the kids to school, then you come home and you do dinner, you sit down and fall asleep, and then it's another day, and then all of a sudden it's spring, then it's booking a summer holiday, and then before you know it, it's Christmas again.
Yeah, if people don't want to speak to anyone tonight, the easiest thing before you go to bed, just text the word will to 66777. It'll be brilliant, and you probably get a surprise when we phone you tomorrow and go, oh, I did do that, but that's a good thing. That's a really, really good thing.
The hardest step taken.
Yeah, it is exactly that. Remember, the first 250 people will get that book, What My Family Should Know.
Another reason to do it now.
£25. In there you can just record everything, like your pensions, your bank accounts, but also your digital accounts, things like passwords for phones, so that whoever needs to find everything has it all in that one place. So the first 250 people to secure the offers will get that.
And they always go. Yeah. So do get in contact right now. And like Ian was saying, it's so easy to get in contact. You don't have to speak to anybody. You can jump onto the website, and that's really easy. And you go via Simpler Law. You can, if you want to, jump onto the phones. And of course you can text. So simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV if you want to go via the website. If you want to jump onto the phones, the team are there up until 3 a.m. And the great thing is, if you've got a couple of questions to ask, you can, but you don't need any information other than, you don't need to know anything apart from, I want to write a will, I want to get my lasting power of attorney sorted, and you've secured the deal getting in contact via the phones.
So the phone number 0333 600 2600, as Hayley said, the team there right through till 3 a.m. If you are watching on our +1 channels, remember you can still go to the website, or you can text the word will. As Ian was just saying, it's the simplest way to get in touch. You don't have to speak to anyone. WILL to 66777, and the team will get back back to you later today or tomorrow, and it'll mean you've secured those offers, you've secured that book, and you've taken that first step, which is the most important thing.
And that text is so easy. I bet your phone's in your hand right now. We hardly ever put it down, do we? And once you've done that, that's job done. You've taken that first step to get something so important to get it sorted. Perhaps this year you really want to get things in place, and you know that you're like us, we're the worst of putting things off because life is so busy. If you text Will to 66777, it's done.
Yeah.
You can go to bed. And it's as simple as that. Or you can go via our website if that's what you're used to, and go on to shopontv.co.uk. Scroll down the first page, and in the middle, there's all our partners. And if you click onto Simpler Law, it takes you through to this page.
All the offers are there, just to remind you what great deals that you've got there. Just fill in that little form that you can see on the website and just submit the form. And remember, you've secured those offers.
And that's a really easy form.
Really easy.
Even I could pass that test, and then you just press submit. And all you're doing is making sure you secure the price, the extra 20% off, and making sure you get these deals. The team will get back to you later on today, tomorrow, and don't worry if you're going on holiday for 2 weeks. You think, well, it's no good doing it now. I'm away for a couple of weeks. Doesn't matter. When the team get back in contact with you, you can say, well, actually, I'm on holiday. They'll be like, fine, let's sort a date when you get back. You say to us when it's convenient for you. And honestly, they just make it all so easy.
They work around your schedule. And they also work at your pace. That's the other thing. There's no pressure. It's all about you. It's your document and it's your pace. So we're going to get back to talking about the wills. When we first met Ian and Georgia tonight, again, it's so important that everyone has a will, isn't it? That's the thing. Because I think a lot of people think, well, I'm not old enough, I haven't got anything. But it's everybody, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think it's a really common misconception. I mean, I hear it all the time. So I hear, oh, I'm not old enough, or I don't have anything.
Yeah.
But from the moment you turn 18, you've got bank account, you might have a car, you know, things like that, and all of these things top up.
It might just be personal things, might it?
Exactly.
Things that mean a lot to you that you don't just want to go to.
It might be a family heirloom, it might be a piece of jewellery, it might be your pets. And it's also thinking about children and things. Because the awful thing is, and I think a lot of people don't realise, that if you haven't written a legally binding will, it doesn't matter how many people you tell, whether you tell all the kids what you want to happen, you know. We've been together 35 years. My family and Sean's family know, you know, we're together, and what's mine is Sean's, what's Sean's is mine. Sadly, none of that will actually happen if we haven't written a will, because there is a will that's been written for you, and we call it the government will. And obviously something has to fall in place, and this government will, well, Ian, it's 100 years old for a start.
101 this year.
Don't. And it can't work for anybody, because we can't all have the same will. We don't have all the same wants.
It's not appropriate for everybody, because work it does every time. I'm not being facetious in correcting it, but it works because it has a destination. So the rules of intestacy are there to pick up everyone that passes away without making their own will. And unfortunately, in the UK, that's millions of people. So that means if you die without making your own will, the final thing that happens isn't your act. It's the act of a set of government rules that's 101 years old. And they work every single time because they have a destination, if you like. They have an outcome. But that is very, very rarely the outcome you would have chosen for yourself.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work for you personally, but it has to work. There has to be something, I suppose,
Correct.
because you all go, well, that's ridiculous, that's completely wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't care about you or your family because it can't. What it cares about is making sure there's a default position, because it'd be anarchy otherwise. It's like, oh, did this person have a will? No. All right, well, you just
Do what you
figure it
want.
out amongst yourselves. Obviously,
good luck.
Yeah, obviously that can't happen. So that's why you literally have option A or option B. You pass away with option A, which is I made my will. It's all signed, dated and witnessed correctly. It's my wishes. It's about my family. It's my estate. It's my will. So my last act on planet Earth, my last gift to my family and my loved ones is I did a will. Or option B, I didn't do a will, so you get the government will. And that, sadly, is one of the main reasons that we have family breakdowns. And at an already really emotional and difficult time, things can be made so much worse. Now, don't misunderstand, I'm not saying a will makes it all brilliant, but what having a will does is not make it worse, because you took all the ambiguity away, you made it clear what you wanted to happen, even down to things like it's really common for moms to separate out like wedding rings and engagement rings if there's more than one daughter and things like that. These are all selfless acts because they just remove that doubt, they remove that argument, and ultimately it's your last act on planet Earth. That's what you want to happen, so that's what's going to happen. Without a will, literally the default position is the government will, and that's just were you married or not when you died.
Well, we'll show you that because it is just yes or no questions.
Yeah.
And it's all about the bloodline. So Sean and myself fall at the first hurdle because we're not married, though we've been together 35 years, longer than some people are married.
I think that's the thing that blows a lot of people's minds is partners, unmarried partners that have made a life together, have been together for a number of years, and it's irrelevant how many years really, but partners, there is no provision for unmarried partners at all.
And I think that'd blow lots of people away.
We didn't realise. What did we think it was? It was...
There's common law.
Common law,
husband and wife. And that isn't a thing, is it?
No such thing, no. I'm sure that was invented by the pub quiz champion in the pubs up and down the UK.
Possibly.
There's always someone who knows better than a professional.
You don't have to worry.
You'll be fine.
It's still really complicated if you are married, and especially if you're married and perhaps it's a second marriage and you have children from different relationships, which I think a lot of families are now. And you are one big family. The children don't even see each other as stepsisters and stepbrothers. They are one big family. Yeah. It's not going to work for those families either, is it?
There's always someone disinherited in a blended family, unfortunately. There's always someone disinherited because of the way the rules of intestacy see your bloodline. You might be on your second marriage and you might have children from a previous relationship, but as far as you're concerned, you're just one big happy family. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. And let's be honest, your second marriage might have been so much longer than your first marriage.
Of course,
You could have both been married for 1 year, had a child and gone, this isn't for us, and moved on. And you could have been married for 40 years now with those same children that have grown up as brother and sister, you know, not step-brother and sister. But unfortunately, the rules of intestacy is all about your marital status and your bloodline. So forgive the finger puppets, but in that scenario, if Mr's got a child from a previous relationship, Mrs has got a child from a previous relationship, if Mr passes away first, for example, everything would pass to the surviving spouse, so to his Mrs. And then when she dies, it's probably reasonable that they all think that it's going equally to the children because that's how they see it. The rules of intestacy don't see it that way. It will follow Mrs.'s bloodline only and go to her children only, to the exclusion of his children. And sometimes we hear, well, the kids would sort it out for themselves.
That pressure is huge, isn't it?
It's a big ask at an emotional time. And also, it's not always just down to the children, because what if the children are in their own relationship? And truthfully, the only people that know what's going on in a relationship are the people that's in it.
Yeah.
So you might think your daughter is absolutely in a fine position, but what if she's in a bit of financial difficulty? Is she going to be keen to give her step-siblings some money? It's just it's a lot of pressure. I think you're right. It's a lot of pressure. And it can all be alleviated, and it can all be corrected, it can all be solved by sending a text tonight.
Yeah.
And you'd be heartbroken, wouldn't you, if you knew what you wanted to happen and you perhaps even sat down and discussed it with the family, and then you have passed. And obviously I don't know what happens when you pass, but I believe in the white feathers and the robins, and I believe Dad's watching over us. And can you imagine watching watching your family falling out because you just didn't get round to writing that will?
Write down your wishes.
It's that, it's your last gift to your loved ones, whatever you have. And even if you think you've got nothing, you've possibly got a house, a car, but perhaps it's personal things. Perhaps it is the engagement ring, the wedding ring. Perhaps it's a family heirloom. We've got a clock that needs to go down the Green family. That's why I'm not marrying him. I'm going to be the first. So, you know, there's so many things. Perhaps it is when your children inherit. Perhaps it's actually what happens to your children if awfully you both were in a terrible accident. There's so many things you can do with a will. And we keep talking about couples, and Ian, I just want you to tell this story, because I think a lot of people that are on their own might think, well, there's only me. I haven't got a wife, I haven't got kids. I won't write a will until I have a wife and children. There's a story that sticks with me always. Was he a surgeon? He was a doctor.
Yeah.
And this is heartbreaking, and this is why it's so important that everybody has a will.
Yeah, we'll never know why this gentleman didn't make a will. We can guess, but we'll never know why. But yeah, there was a young man. I say a young man, I think he was in his 40s. You're quite right. He'd never married, he'd never had children, and sadly he passed away totally unexpectedly, suddenly. The backstory was that when he was born, his dad walked out on his mum, never to be seen from again. So basically, mum was left as a single parent to bring up 2 brothers and her 2 sons. And so there was no relationship with the dad whatsoever. No birthday cards, no contact. So when this gentleman sadly passed away, he'd not made a will, so he died intestate. So the first question that was asked of him was the deceased married in a civil partnership? The answer was no. The next question was, did he have children? The answer was no. The next question was, does he have parents? The answer's yes. We knew about the mum because it was told from the mum's perspective.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's awful for any parent to even have to deal with what's happened. And then imagine how that was compounded, because she then had to track down her ex-husband that she also had not seen or heard from for decades to say, our son's passed away, and by the way, you're entitled to half of everything. And when this story aired, it was actually on TV, when this story aired, and when people were talking about it, everyone was going, it can't be right, it's not fair. And this is the problem with the rules of intestacy. It's got nothing to do with right or fairness. That's the default position. And whilst I don't think there's enough information out there to tell people that is the default position, that's precisely why we do these shows. When I say we've written over 300,000 wills, I should qualify that by every single one is unique.
Yeah.
It's bespoke
Not
to
one the
our
same.
client. You know, when we sit and we talk about you choose this and you choose that and you choose that, of course it's you.
Yeah.
It's not a simpler law will, it's your will.
Yeah.
It's your document. It's going to be your last act on planet Earth, and it's going to be your gift, and it's going to be bespoke to your situation. If you don't make your own will, you get the government will. And wherever the yes-no answer lands, that's where your estate's going. And forget it if you want to leave specific gifts and things like that, because it doesn't care. It doesn't make any provision
What
for
was the
things
story
like that.
that gentleman, and he didn't really have family, but he had a dear friend who helped look after him. And he always promised this friend, he said, when I go, the house,
It's all yours,
house is yours.
You know, like you talk about everyone around you knows that you've been together 35 years. This was a very similar situation. You know, one of these, it's like they could have made a buddy movie out of it, you know, and the gentleman who owned the house, well, whilst his friend had also got a house, he wasn't leaving it for any other reason than that was the person in his life.
Yeah.
He'd got no family, best of friends. Everyone knew that the house was being left to Bob, everyone. And when sadly this gentleman passed away, whilst people weren't particularly prying, it was like, what's happening with the house and Bob? And Bob had to say, well, he didn't have a will, he's not coming to me. And it ended up going to, I think, a second cousin in Canada or something like that.
You
from memory.
hear that a lot, and you wonder why. You know, why did that person they'd never met in a different country?
It had found its way down his bloodline to eventually finding a family member that was entitled to inherit. And there was kind of, in the sort of village where this happened, in this small place where this happened, there was quite a bit of indignation. It's like, but that's not what he wanted.
Right again.
And of course, I think that there was also a lot of presumption that because it had been said and everyone understood that's what's going to, it was just going to happen. But he never ever drafted a will. So even though everyone knew this is what his wish was, the law said, well, actually, Bob's nobody, in the same way that we're nobody to him. So it followed his bloodline and ended up going to someone that he barely knew or possibly didn't even know at all.
And you can change all of that for £99 to have a legally binding written will with experts in the field, with simpler law, who talk you through everything you need to know. That's the other thing. Don't be afraid of it. It's not complicated. It's that hand-holding service, and you know from personal experience, don't you?
It is.
Just hope you don't speak to Georgia. She can be nasty.
This is what it gets like. Gets to this time.
The meanest of the bunch. I know, I was going
You're
to say.
closest.
Gets a bit
Time
cruel.
for a nap.
Yes. Send him to the naughty step.
But the nice thing is, we did deal with simpler law way before they came and worked with us here on Shop on TV. It was for my mum. It was actually for the lasting power of attorney. And I am the biggest worrier. My mum is an even bigger worrier than me. So it was a really big deal we were going to do this, and we were really worried to sit down and have this conversation. You don't have to go into an office. You can ring up. We did it like on a video call, and really worried about sitting down and having this conversation. Oh my goodness! As soon as we sat down and chatted to the lady that we dealt with, it's just like, because I panic about everything. I worry about asking the wrong things. Did I about saying
not
asking a silly
understanding.
question?
You think you're not going to understand.
Yeah, not understanding a word. They made it so simple. It was like we sat down chatting this morning, that's how it'll feel. It'll feel like a two-way conversation. If you want, you know, someone there with you, a three-way conversation, all just sitting down and chatting. You don't need to know anything. That was my biggest worry. I'm not going to know the answer to a question. You do know, because the Simpler Law have the right questions to ask you, and you have all the answers. You just don't realise, I think, sometimes.
And the process is really easy. Ian, I love the fact that once you're dealing with someone at Simpler Law, you deal with the same person, don't you, time and time again?
Yeah, the same consultant will look after you from start to finish. You know, some people's consultation, they know exactly what they want. It'll be just start and finish, done.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Some people might need, you know, to come back on 2 or 3 different phone calls. So you might have to go away and think about something. You know, and it might be something that came up during the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, there's quite a lot of clients that have gone, oh my goodness, if I didn't realise. If I'd not done that, this, you know, so there can be all kinds of revelations. The one thing that we guarantee, if you like, is we're not condescending, we're not patronising, but at the same time we understand that for most people that we speak to, it's the first time, might be the only time that they make a will. So we do hold your hand through the whole process. But as I said, not in a patronising way, just to make sure that you're happy with everything that you're doing. And I like what you said there is, yes, you don't have to know anything, because believe it or not, you already know everything.
Yeah.
We have all the questions, you have all the answers. And I know I've said this before, but essentially you will only get your document when you're 100% happy with what you've told us and the instructions you've given us, and you're 100% happy with what we've told you. And I mean, the team are brilliant, because truthfully, it's all they do. You don't come to us for a divorce or a boundary dispute or a personal injury claim. But if you want to protect your family, if you want to protect your assets, if you want specialist estate planning, then you speak to our team, because that's all they do. So we're not a jack of all trades, we're a master of one. But the one thing we can't do for you is we can't send that text for you, and we can't ask you to phone the call centre. So if you sat listening to me now, you've got a brilliant opportunity to do something amazing, not just for yourself, but for your loved ones. If you don't want to talk to the team tonight, please just text the word will to 66777. We will call you back. And for me, that's genuinely the hardest part of this process, because once you speak to one of our consultants, you won't find that part difficult at all.
No.
Yeah, do it now, because you do tend to forget. It's the deals that we've got, close of business on Friday, but actually it'll be Saturday before you know it. So either contact via the website, the phones, or text, and we will go through that. But just if you are sat at home thinking, well, I haven't really got anything, Georgia, there's so much more than money. With a will, you can do so much, can't you?
Exactly, yeah, you can do pretty much anything with it. So it covers, you know, people who you trust to administer your estate, so such as your executors. So it allows you to control where your property goes and who it goes to. Or doesn't go to in the circumstances as well.
Yeah.
But it can also include things such as specific funeral wishes, and more importantly, if you, like most of the population, have minor children, if in the event that the worst should happen, it does allow you to appoint guardians, and again, somebody you trust to look after your kids.
I'd not thought of, and I think a lot of people writing a will, they think about the money side of things, or your children are so important. And also inheriting, you know, because what age do you inherit?
At?
Yeah, well, under the rules of intestacy, it's 18, it's legal age. But
so
what you can do...
it would be at 18 unless you specify otherwise.
Unless you specify otherwise. And again, I don't know about many people, but I wasn't the best with money at 18.
No.
You definitely weren't.
You're the best example.
I need to get that picture of you at 18.
I can't. You've already got such a low opinion of me now. If I show you the mullet when I was 18, you look at that picture and go, if that 18-year-old boy came into any kind of money, is he investing it? Is he buying property? Is he doing something sensible with it? The answer is no.
No to all of it.
And I think this again is something people wouldn't think about. So
we're making light of it, but I joked.
So important.
I joked in a room about this with various consultants and other people who worked in estate planning, and a young girl sort of put it down and said, "No, that was me." And I cringed a little bit. She said she inherited from her grandparents, and she blew it all. She was quite honest about it, and she actually was. She quite liked that what she was doing now. She's like, I did that, and I was like, oh, you forget when you're talking to people that there's a chance that what you're saying is true, because it does happen. Yeah, it does happen. Yeah.
When you're young, you know, you only think about tomorrow, really.
Yeah.
You don't think further ahead. I never thought I'd get to 30.
So
I was
you
like,
could change it to 21.
Yes.
You could change it to 25.
And I don't think you'd realise, unless you sat down with a team to saying, well, actually, you can split it, you can stagger it. They can have a bit at 18, and then perhaps, you know, a bit when they're 21, a bit when they're 30, when they're perhaps looking to buy a house and things like that. And it gives you complete control on things that I think you just wouldn't think about. I think instantly you think about your house, you think about money, you think about, you know, who you're going to give those things to. But there's so many other... Pets is a huge thing, isn't it?
Oh, it's a huge one, especially for my sister. That was one of the biggest things for her. And that was the first thing she talked about when we did her will.
Bless her.
My dogs.
Yeah.
My dogs.
Well, a lot of people, their pets are their children, aren't they?
They are, absolutely. And again, just like children, they become... They're one of the most important things in your life.
Of course,
And you can even provide that care for them.
So you could choose a person that you're going to give the pet to, but also perhaps leave them money to
you can
look
leave a
after,
fund for them,
or perhaps to a charity, or
absolutely.
Yeah, some leave legacies, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
My sister's going to have the dog, but I'll give her 5,000 to, you know, towards food and bills and things like that. Yeah. On condition that you take the dog.
Yeah, that's very important. It is a really important thing to do for you, but also for your family as well.
That's the word you. It's your will, it's your family, it's your estate, it's everything
you've worked so hard for.
It is. So when we sit down, it's what do you want? So, you know, we could sit here all night and we do pretty much, but talk about, you know, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. Ultimately, we'll put that question to you. You know, we'll take you to that dark place for 30 seconds. So the worst happened yesterday. What ideally would you like to see happen? You know, and straight away people are like, well, I'd like my eldest son actually to get a little bit more than my youngest son because we've already given some money to my youngest son. And these are all things that you can do. Oh, by the way, I don't want anything to my daughter because I've not spoken to her for 20 years. That's why every document that we write is genuinely unique and is bespoke.
And
is nothing like the rules of intestacy.
No.
And no one should be worried if they're in that situation that perhaps there's a child they don't want to give to. No. It's a common thing now, isn't it? So
yeah, it might be a difficult thing for some.
Uncomfortable.
No, it might be a difficult thing for people to talk about, but you know, blood isn't always thicker than water. You know, the Waltons, after all, was fiction, and the fridge magnets that say friends or family that choose for yourself exist for that reason. Yeah. You know, so it's not unusual. Certainly, you know, for some of our clients, for example, when coming back to guardianship, it's not always family members that are guardians. It's not always the grandparents because they think, well, they're getting on in years, and it might, you know, they might be okay with our children for a weekend, but you know, doing the school runs and all that kind of thing. So you tend to choose someone that's like-minded and a similar age to yourself, you know. So the fact is, the will is yours. So we'll pose all these questions to you, but you will know the answers. And if you don't, you can take time to think about what you want to do.
And why should we use Simple Law? Why not? Some people will be watching and think, oh, I've seen the templates you can get, and I could write my... This upsets him a lot. But they are out there, aren't they? You still have to pay for them. And then you've got no help at all, have you? And you could do that completely wrong. So it could be pointless.
Yeah, I don't blame anyone that tries to use a template. I blame the fact that templates are allowed.
Yeah.
Because in no other profession do you sort of have this, here, have a go at it yourself.
No.
Because if you speak to us, if you send the text tonight, we'll phone you tomorrow. We'll book an appointment with you. We'll explain that we're fully insured. So our advice and our work is all fully insured, up to £5 million. If we need to go above that, if your estate's worth more, we can talk to you about that. But you're fully insured, and what a point we are. You're then going to speak to someone whose only job as a consultant is will and estate planning. Nothing else. So you're going to talk to a specialist who's highly qualified, highly trained. They know all things like the inheritance tax allowances. They know everything, how to give you advice. They know what questions to ask you, and they know how to respond to the answers that you give. And only when you're 100% happy will we then produce that document for you. It's professionally bound. We then contact you when it's come out to you, and we help make sure that it's signed, dated and witnessed correctly. Because even in this digital age, without a wet signature on it and two witnesses, it's not valid. So we do all of that for you for just over 80p a day, I hasten to add. Fully insured service from start to finish with full advice. You go and buy a template, yeah, good luck. I'm being facetious, but it bothers me because if you buy a template, it means you know you need a will.
And you want
and there's something that you want to specify.
The trouble of doing it.
And there's a genuine risk, and I'm not trying to be clever, but there's a genuine risk that if you don't know what you're doing, you might mess it up. And statistics show that a lot of templates fail.
Yeah, well, we can support that with examples. Our legal team, the amount of times it's happened on, I mean, just over the past couple of years alone, we've had a few cases where they've done a template will through WH Smith, and they've not done it properly. They've not included the relevant clauses, any backups, anything like that, and they've actually failed and gone through the rules of intestacy, so the government will instead.
So they'd written down what they thought they wanted. It's got to be written right, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And we don't know the right terminology. And you could write something, and to you, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, and this isn't a criticism.
But
because
legally...
you can only know what you know. You know, if I went upstairs to the studio, went to the mixing board, and whatever it is they're doing in here now, I wouldn't have a clue.
Please don't.
Well, actually... It's probably quite simple, isn't it? But again, in all seriousness, you know the point I'm going to make, because I always make it. You know, I had a horrific toothache, and I did the man thing of it's going to go away, and I left it to the point where it disintegrated.
And we worked with you many shows.
Yeah, and I needed root canal, but you know, I didn't try and sort it out myself. I went to a dentist.
Yeah.
If my car breaks, I go to a mechanic. You know, you go to the professionals that know what they're doing. And it does trouble me that there's an opportunity for you to attempt to write your own will without any advice. Who are you going to turn to, and who are your family going to turn to if you've made a mistake? Whereas if we make a mistake, and touch wood we never have, because we specialise in this area, we've never had a will fail. But if we did make a mistake, you and your family are insured for up to £5 million. You have recourse with us. You know, we have a complaints process. We have a... You know, we follow best advice. We've got a duty of care to you. When you do something yourself, who are you going to attack? Yourself. So if you get it wrong, that's all on you. And it's unnecessary, especially when you've still got to pay for these templates and it's going to give you no advice. And from doing these shows, this exclusive offer again, much as 80 pence a day.
Peace of mind.
Yeah.
It's that first step.
Please don't take a chance. If you're going to do a will, do it professionally. Please don't take a chance.
And with these offers, like you say, the offers are so good, so affordable, and you've got that extra discount at the moment. So the will itself, if you want to write a will with simpler law, with that professional advice, you can. The suggested retail price of £249 should have come down to £124, but they've extended that New Year offer because it was so popular. An extra 20% comes off, so it comes down to £99. That's £24.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments for the will. In a couple of moments, we're going to talk about lasting power of attorney, and the offer here is excellent also.
We can see there normally £349. Our offer normally £239, but you have got that extra 20%. This is why you need to secure these prices right now. Till close of business on Friday, you've got these deals, but if you don't do it now, you'll forget. It'll be Saturday before you know it. So do it now, and you'll get it at £189, and you'll also get the opportunity, if you wish, to split that cost to 4 payments of £47.25. Now, you might have already got in touch, and you might be watching and thinking, well, I got in touch about the will, but now I wish I'd done both. I wish I'd done the will and lasting power of attorney. As long as you secure the prices tonight, whichever option you want to go for, you've secured that deal. So if you do want to go for the will and lasting power of attorney, you're saving more than you're spending. Should be £598. Our normal reduced price, £315, but our extra special 20% off, £249, down from £598. And of course, you can split that cost with 4 payments, £62.25 is the first of those 4 payments. Now, you're securing the deals right now, and that's why we say do it right now this minute, because we do forget that life gets in the way, doesn't it? Before you know it, tomorrow will be gone, and then it'll be the weekend, and then it'll be spring, and then you'll be booking summer holidays, and before we know it, it'll be Christmas again. We've only just put the tree in the loft, but we'll be getting it back down again. And it just it's,
I know that some of it's true.
Oh, it just goes so fast.
Our life is just...
And like we've said 100 times, we need a stair carpet desperately. It's embarrassing. We won't let anybody come to the house. But it's not that we can't afford to have a stair carpet. We just don't get round to getting in contact with someone to come round to us, or we don't go to a shop. It's that first step. So get in contact now, because then you've done it. But also the first 250 people will get this fabulous book, and this disappears, and then people want it. It's worth £25, but actually it's worth so much more, because this is all that vital information that people will need when you do pass. And it's the things that you might think about, like pensions and things like that.
Bank accounts, pensions, life insurance policies. But it might be about things that you don't think about. All your digital accounts, your passwords for things like your phone, your tablet, your computer. How many things are paperless now? So it all goes through your computer systems and your email.
And if you haven't got the password, you can't get... There's no way you can get onto... You can't go and, to the police and say, I need to get onto this. You can't get onto that, that phone or that tablet. We were in that situation with a family member who died very unexpectedly, so nothing was in place, and they needed to get vital information off his tablet, and no one knew the password. And it only happened just by chance that the grandson walked past as they were chatting, because they'd sort of chatted away from him most of the time. He's like, I know Grandad's number because I play games on his tablet, and it's the only way they actually got that information they needed. However, it might be really personal photographs or videos that we are on mum or dad's tablet, and you've lost that forever. So I think that book is brilliant. I think everybody should have that information in one place, just to make things, again, so much easier for your loved ones. And remember, so easy to get in contact. You don't have to speak to anybody tonight. You can jump onto the website, you can text, whatever's easiest for you. So take a little look. Perhaps you're off to bed, perhaps you're going out to work. You can either jump onto the website, simplelaw.co.uk/shop on TV. You can jump onto the phones, and the team are there until 3 a.m. You might have a couple of questions which you can ask, but the idea is you don't need to know anything tonight apart from you want to have a will, you want to have a lasting power of attorney. So the phone lines is a good option as well.
It is. The team, as Hayley says, are right there right now, so take your call. 0333 600 2600 is the number. If you are watching on our +1 channels, you can still go to simplelaw.co.uk/shop on TV, or you can text, and texting is always the most popular. Just text the word will, W-I-L-L, to 66777, and that's whether you want the will or the lasting power of attorney. It secures those offers, it secures that book for you.
And that's so easy, isn't it? And it's done. You haven't had to speak to anybody. You haven't got to remember before Friday to do it. You've texted that word will, and that's it.
You've taken that step.
That's it, and that's sometimes the biggest thing, isn't it? To take the first step. The rest is so easy when you sit down with Simpler Law. And don't panic if perhaps you're going away for a couple of weeks. Perhaps you're thinking, what's the point? I'm away for 2 weeks. They won't want to hold on. Simpler Law will work around you. So when they get back in contact later on today, tomorrow, over the next couple of days, you can say, well, actually, I'm really sorry, I'm away for 3 weeks. Could we could we speak sort of, whenever it's suitable for you? And they'll be like, yeah, that's fine.
It's on your schedule, and it's on your pace, at your pace, if you like.
But getting in contact right now is making sure you get that extra 20% off, you get that price, which is a special, because actually it was the New Year deal, which
but
they
only
have
till
brought back.
close of business on Friday, remember, so do it right now. If you want to go to our website, that's the other way to get in touch, shopontv.co.uk. Go to the homepage, scroll down, click on the Simpler Law logo, and it takes you through to those exclusive offers that you can see there. It talks you through exactly what you need to do. Just fill in that really simple, straightforward form that you can see on that page that it'll take you through to. Also, you can scan the QR code that's on the main screen. You'll see that QR code on screen throughout, so if you want to scan that with your phone, that'll also take you through to those exclusive offers. We've changed the details on the screen to lasting power of attorney for you, because we're going to recap that for you. Whichever offer you want to go for, though, do it right now. Take that first step and put the ball in motion. That's simple.
And if you don't know about lasting power of attorney, a will, I think we've all heard of, and we all know we should have a will, because don't forget there is a government will that will fall in place. You don't want that. But lasting power of attorney, I think sometimes the only way you've heard about it, and this is why we went and got a lasting power of attorney for my mum, funny enough, with Simpler Law, before they worked with us here on Shop on TV, was we'd heard one of those horror stories and thought, oh my goodness, we desperately need to make sure that we don't go through that situation. It was the same when we got it for your mum. as well. And lasting power of attorney is just as important as having a will.
And if you're not quite sure what it means, we'll get Georgia to explain, because I think a lot of people have heard of lasting power of attorney, but they're not sure what it actually is, what it actually does or means.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's a legal document that's used during somebody's lifetime in the instance that they lose capacity. So there's two types of lasting powers of attorney. One is property and financial, and the other is health and welfare. And the purpose of these documents is to basically delegate your responsibility out if you lose capacity to somebody who can step in your shoes and make day-to-day decisions for you.
What do we mean by lose capacity? What would that be?
So with losing capacity, I mean, the most common form is old age or dementia. I think that's what a lot of people associate with losing capacity. However, it does actually extend past that. You have things such as a stroke, that's a common one, a serious accident, or even an injury.
So it can happen at any age, can't it?
It can.
You know, if you're unfortunate enough to have an accident.
Yeah, again, it's a common misconception that, I mean, we all like to think, oh, it won't happen to me,
Yes,
it's a
of
what-if
course.
circumstance. But unfortunately, we have had clients who are late teens, early 20s, that have been in serious accidents and actually lost capacity temporarily. And
So they
can
could
act.
be in a coma, or, you know, and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you, though, you know, for me, you know, we did it for Mum, and we did do it completely, like you say, thinking she's getting older, but we now know that obviously we need lasting power of attorney too, because it's so important. But in my mind, I was like, everybody knows I look after Mum, or if it was your partner, your husband, your wife, you know, obviously I could just step into their shoes and sort everything and pay the bills, and because, you know, that's what I've always helped her with anyhow, but actually you can't do any of that legally, can you?
No, absolutely not. It's very similar with me and my mum, for example. My mum's she's not 60 yet, but there has been instances over the past 10 years where she's been incapacitated through an illness, for example, where she's been so poorly and I've had to try and step in and help her, even with her medical care.
Right.
But unfortunately, down to the fact at the time, she didn't have a lasting power of attorney.
You're
it was
unable to
extremely
do it.
stressful because I couldn't do as much as I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Well, even now I can't go. I went to Mum's bank a bit back, and with Mum actually, but she was tired, so I sort of sat her down, and I went to the counter, and we only wanted some
paying in slips.
Paying in slips, yeah, that's all because my mum's not into the internet or anything like that, so we just wanted to pay, and they wouldn't let me get paying in slips.
She had to come up to the
without
counter.
my mum.
You wanted to pay money in.
And so I had to drag her over to the counter.
Well, you could be a money launderer.
There you go, you see. You look at me like that.
But yeah, so when you think about it, or when I ring about Mum's phone or a gas or the electrics, they always want to speak to Mum.
Well, the first thing they say is, are you the account holder?
Yeah.
If you say no,
Yeah,
it
the
stops
first thing
there.
they do is data protection, and the second you go, oh no, it's not for me, it's for somebody else, they go, well, I can't speak to you.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
if you
it
say,
stops
well,
it
they're
then.
really poorly at the minute, they can't speak to you, then you've got...
You can't do anything.
Of course you can't do anything.
No.
Now, you were saying there's two different types, so
Yes,
the
so-
financial one first.
Yes, so the property and financial affairs, it does effectively what it says on the tin. It allows you to deal, or somebody on your behalf, to deal with big decisions such as selling a property, down to the trivial everyday activities that you don't necessarily think about, such as accessing a bank account to complete a food shop.
Or you
Yeah.
can see that things like paying household bills.
Exactly,
Life
yeah.
goes on, doesn't it? It
And claiming
continues.
pensions and things you wouldn't think about as well. And you might need to sell a property. Perhaps your loved one needs to go into a care home. Perhaps you need to
Exactly.
downsize or get a bungalow because you know they're not going to manage in your house. But even if you are married and you've got a joint account and the house is in both your names, if one person's seriously poorly
Absolutely.
and can't say what they want, that's out of your control as well, even if it's a joint account or a home together.
Absolutely. When you own a home with a spouse, a partner, whoever it may be, you have to sell together. You both have to be in agreement. So even when it comes to accepting offers on the property, they won't do it unless you both
You
agree.
both have to agree.
So in the absence of a lasting power of attorney, that comes to a grinding halt. And then there's another alternative route that you can follow, albeit it's costly and leads to further delays as well.
And we'll talk about that in a moment, but let's talk about the second power of attorney, because there's two, health and welfare, and you decided this was just as important as the financial
When we went about the financial side, that's all we knew about was the lasting power of attorney for the financial side. When we sat down, because you do sit down like we are tonight and you just have a little chat with a team member from Simpler Law who becomes a friend, actually. You feel you can ask them whatever. She mentioned there was a second lasting power of attorney, which was health and welfare. And when she explained that to us, I was like to Mum, we've got to do both, because that is just as important, or more important, I think, to me personally, than the financial side.
No, absolutely. So with the health and welfare, it allows somebody to deal with the medical care, for example. I mean, that's the biggest one. I just gave the example of my mum.
Yeah, so you could speak to the doctors, you could
exactly, and
discuss.
I could deal with them on her behalf, or make the correct decisions for her, or based on what I know about her, what she would have wanted. So that's quite a big one. But it even comes down to, you know, daily activities, where you're living, what you're wearing, what you're eating.
Yeah, so if you had to go into a care home, where that care home was, you wouldn't want it, you know,
miles
400
away.
miles away.
No, exactly.
And you've got that control. But there was a story just recently, actually, and even a friend of ours, it very much happened to her, but the story that I saw on the news, it was a lady that her husband went into hospital. He had a really unusual brain problem, and he was very, very poorly. But he could have come home, but they wouldn't allow him to come home, even though she wanted him home and she wanted to look after him, because he couldn't actually, they didn't have lasting power of attorney, and he couldn't say, because he was so poorly, that he wanted to go home to his wife. So she had to fight to have, you know, to be allowed to bring him home.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those situations you hope's never going to happen, but to be put in a circumstance where you're fighting for your spouse, for example, to look after them, you know, you're the person who knows them best. You know how to look after them. You've known them for such a long time.
You'd think it's only right, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
But without lasting power of attorney and the whole process, it's really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, there's only one route that you hope first and foremost, or it is a loved one that you trust that actually goes this route, because there's a body called the Court of Protection, and you can apply for what's called a deputyship order there. So someone can present themselves to the court and say, my dad's lost capacity. They do an assessment to make sure that's the case, and then they do an assessment on you to make sure you're a suitable candidate to become a deputy. The costs themselves are astronomical. It's up to £1,100 in the first year alone, if you make the application yourself and don't use a professional to help with the application process. And part of that, you can see on the screen there, the supervision fee, which makes up that £1,100, that's an annual fee as well. So if you are granted the deputyship order, you're supervised by the court, and in some cases, they'll even ask you to go back to them for permission to spend certain amounts of money. Sometimes they put a cap on where if you want to spend more than that,
you have to go and ask.
You have to get extra permission on top. So it can be quite limiting. But probably, in my opinion, worse than the cost is the length of time that it takes. Is it's still taking up to a year for the deputyship to be granted. So that's time away from...
So you're spending all that time trying to...
Yeah, it's time and energy.
Surely that sometimes can be too late.
Sadly, it is,
And you've wasted all the time you wanted to be with your loved one, trying to fight to look after them.
Yeah, you've got another kind of sliding doors moment. You know, we talk about if you pass away without a will, you get the rules of intestacy. If you lose capacity without a lasting power of attorney, you've only got one option open to, and it's not open to you, it's open to people around you. Someone's got to step forward and do it.
And it might be a family member, actually, that you've fallen out with, that you wouldn't have trusted with your bank account, that steps forward.
So it comes back to being selfless. It comes back to control for me. If you want to control who controls you, and you trust those people, then you put a lasting power of attorney in place. Because again, you remove all the ifs, buts and maybes. I want to be really clear that a lasting power of attorney is not an insurance policy, but it can be viewed in a similar way.
Yeah.
I call it a what-if document.
Yeah.
What if life throws you that curveball? Who would you choose? Who would you trust to step into your shoes if you can't manage your own affairs? And sadly, as we've already talked about this morning, it's not enough to go, well, I'm married or I've been with this person for so long, they'll know what to do. It doesn't matter if they know what to do, it's having the authority and the power to be able to do it. And unless you give them that power through a lasting power of attorney, everyone's hamstrung. And so,
legally, you can't.
Yeah, and so a bad situation gets made so much worse, because then your loved ones are like, well, this is not what they would want. I know they would want a different outcome here, and that's why they end up having to go to the Court of Protection to try and get the authority to do that. When the sliding doors moment is if they've lost capacity with a lasting power of attorney, that gets registered with something called the Office of Public Guardian. There can be an additional fee there that office charges as well, up to £92, which is nothing compared to the 1,100. But once it's registered with the Office of Public Guardian, the people that you chose to step into your shoes can act.
Yeah.
It's as simple as
And you
that.
hope you never have to use it. And
Yeah.
Definitely.
obviously, I say we did mums through Simpler Law many, many years ago. And when we'd finished it, it was like a weight off our shoulders. And I never think about it, until we sit down and do a show like this, I never think about the fact we've got it, because you just forget and hope you never need it.
You'll never need to use it. But if your mum's really desperate and unlucky and life throws the curveball, you've done all you can, and more to the point, your mum has by appointing you, so that you can continue to care for her the way that everyone would expect you to. And that's a massive thing, that, if it does happen. Because the worst phone calls we get at the office, truthfully, and we're not proud of the fact, but we do call them, they are the too late phone call, where it's now too late to be able to do that. Yeah. And every family member and every client that you speak to that's been in that position or is in that position would gladly wind the clock back.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Just to get it in place, because they see now what's ahead of them. So we can always help our clients, but it's always better to do the preventative route.
Have it in place.
Yeah, it's to what if?
What if, just in case.
And you do help, and you make it so easy, even down to how you sign, because you have to sign in a certain way, and there's a video to follow, and it's funny.
And if you do it wrong,
Yeah.
they spot it, because that's what happened with
Yeah, well, and again, that's why you use a professional. Look,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, same with will, same with lasting powers of attorney. Everyone can do these things yourself. It's like I could cut my own lawn if I wanted to, but I don't. I get someone else to do it because they're better at it, and I haven't got the time. So you make a choice, don't you, to pay for a professional service, but this is part of that professional service. There's lots of things that you can do in a lasting power of attorney. There's lots of quirks, there's lots of preferences, instructions you can add, and all this kind of thing. It's about doing it right, and we hold your hand through the signing process as well. Because you're right, there's a very specific way to get it signed. And the Office of the Public Guardian are quite bureaucratic. If there are any mistakes in that document, they won't register it, they'll reject it. And the last thing you want is to go forward and say, oh, Dad's lost capacity, can we register this? And they go, no, you've done it wrong.
Oh, no.
Because then you're back to the Court of Protection.
And that's you got the signatures.
Yeah.
Well, the neighbour to my mum, who had been mum's neighbour for all the years she'd lived there, from a little girl through to living there with her family and her children, her grandchildren, coming round to the house. We'd always known her as her name, but we didn't know that actually her name was her middle name. So when she signed, she sort of signed one way, printed another way, and they're like,
really
hang on a minute, this isn't right. And that was the first time we'd ever known that it wasn't her proper name. But you saw it, thank goodness, otherwise it wouldn't have been correct.
Yeah, and we've seen people where they've made a mistake with the date, and we know that there's a chance that will get rejected. So, this is all part of the service to make sure that it's going to be a valid document. It will work when it needs to work. We're still registering today enduring powers of attorney, which were a document that preceded lasting powers of attorney. So clients that put these documents in place like 25 years ago, again, hoping they never need to use them, well, we're getting the phone call now. Do you hold an enduring power of attorney or a lasting power of attorney for such and such? Yes. It's being done. Yeah, and they're registered today. So the important thing is to make sure that it's signed, dated and witnessed correctly. Then it's personal choice, and we'll help you with that as well, but it's personal choice. Some people choose to register them straight away. Some people choose to store them. Some people choose to keep them themselves. It's personal preference depending on the situation. Some people do it and they name someone now but think, well, my children are going to be adults in a couple of years, so I won't register it just yet. I'll wait a few more years.
Right.
But at least they've got a working document in the meantime. But the important thing is not to put these things off. Well, I'll wait until my children are 18, or I'll wait until we move house, or I'll wait. The human beings are great procrastinators. If you're listening to this now and you're still listening to me drone on, you've got a brilliant opportunity. Just text the word will to 66777, or I think you might just be in time.
Yeah, they're still there.
They're still there.
We should give you the details, we should give you the prices, we should let you know how to get in contact, and of course you can jump on the phones, the team are still there. Price-wise, whichever option you're going for, you are right now getting an extra 20% off. You know, this was our New Year offer. It was so popular, but lots of people missed out because you do have a deadline. This is the close of business on Friday, and that's why we say do it now, because you know it'll be Saturday or Sunday, and you'll think, oh, I didn't do it, and you've lost the deal. So normally, if you're going for the will, £249. Our price would normally be, as a show offer, 124, but you have got the extra 20% off if you make sure you secure the price right now. So £99, under £100 to write your will, your last gift to your loved ones, knowing that what you've worked so hard for is going to go to the people that you want it to go for. That government will isn't going to fall back into place, which we are going to talk to very quickly about in a moment. And if you split that cost, at £24.75 is the first of 4 payments. Lasting power of attorney we've just been speaking about, and that again is another great saving.
Suggested retail price of £349. The offer price should be £239, but we're still offering that extra 20% off as part of our New Year extended offer. Remember, it's only until the close of business on Friday. Comes down to £189, or 4 interest-free payments if you want to spread the cost, £47.25 on the first of 4 payments.
That's money we spend so easily. How much do you spend on coffees a week? How much do you spend on takeaways, or even a round at the bar? It's gone, isn't it? And this is money so well spent. That peace of mind that what you want to happen is going to happen. And you might have been watching, and you might earlier on have actually got in contact. You said, "Yeah, I want to do the will," and now you're thinking, "Gosh, now I've listened to lasting power of attorney, I should have done both." As long as you get in contact, you can secure all of these prices, and then you can change your mind and say, well, actually, can I do the lasting power of attorney and the will? And they'll say, yes, you can have the same price. So it should be $598. Normal show price, $315. Your extra 20%, so if you're securing that deal now, you'll get it for $249. From $598. That is a massive set. You're saving more than you're spending. And of course, you have got 4, if you want to, split the cost with 4 payments. $62.25 is the first of those 4 payments. And then, of course, the first 250 people will get that fabulous book. It's worth £25. But what you need to do is get in contact. And get in contact whichever way suits you better. Whether you want to go via the website, you don't want to speak to anybody, that's great. simplylaw.co.uk/shop on TV. The team are still in the
you've still got a chance to get hold of the team in the call centre. Remember, you don't need any documents, you don't need anything with you. It's just a case of securing those offers that we talked about and securing that free book worth £25. 0333 600 2600 is the number for the team. It's still there right through till 3 a.m. However, if you are watching on our +1 channels, remember you can go to the website or you can text still. Texting the word will is the easiest way to get in touch. WILL to 66777, whether it's the will or the lasting power of attorney that you want to secure.
And that is so quick, so easy. And that is one of the, I think, the most difficult things is to actually take that first step. We're rubbish, aren't we, of putting, I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow, just never comes. It'll be spring, then it'll be summer. Before you know it, you'll be getting the Christmas tree down from the attic again. You're like, where did that year go? And one day, it's just going to be too late. And then you would be devastated. If it was your will, you'd be devastated. And obviously, I don't know what happens when you pass, but I do think Dad's looking down on us. I see those white feathers. I see the robins just when you need to. You'd be devastated if you were looking down, watching your family fall out. And even though they knew what you wanted to happen with everything, you're watching it not happen because you didn't write that will, and that government will has fallen into place. Because there is a will if you haven't written one, and it's not a will that you want because it's not personal. It doesn't suit us. It doesn't suit you if you're married with children from different relationships. It's yes or no answers, and it's not going to go to the people that you wanted it to go to.
Let's bring Ian and Georgia back in just before the end of the show. But remember, those offers only until the close of business on Friday. I think when it comes to wills, Ian, it's really important to point out that everybody needs one, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's really important that your last act on planet Earth is your own. What isn't widely known, but hopefully we've covered off this morning, is that if you pass away without your own will, then the government basically gives you a will.
Right.
And when I say it gives you a will, it's just a set of rules that's meant to fit every adult in the UK. when you do your own will, of course, it's unique and it's bespoke to your situation. It is your last act on planet Earth, and it's your last gift to your family. But it also means it's quite selfless, because it means that you're removing any ambiguity, any arguments, any, we weren't sure what dad or mom would have wanted. It really is selfless in that respect. But you've worked hard for everything that you've got, so you want to make sure that it is actually going to where you want it to go. When you make your own will, it isn't just about what most people think a will is, which is, it's where I leave my money. It's so much more. It's like, well, who's going to deal with it for you? So you get to choose that. If you've got children or young grandchildren, do you want them to inherit at a certain age so they don't just inherit at 18? If you have got children, do you want to name guardians? So God forbid, if you're not there, you can name guardians. And specific gifts is a big thing, heirlooms.
Right.
The rules of intestacy can't know about that watch that's passed through your family, or that grandfather clock, or even your mum's jewellery. So it's personal, it's bespoke, it's all about you, even down to the fact that you can put in funeral wishes and organ donation preferences, all these things, they're all personal to you and your family. That's what you do when you make a will. If you choose not to make a will, the government will go, it's okay, we've got these set of rules, we'll administer it according to that.
And when you say set of rules, it's literally a case of yes, no questions.
Yeah, that's it. On the screen there, you'll see words repeated in green and red, which is yes and no. They're all closed questions, yes or no. And the first question that's asked of the deceased is, were they married or in a civil partnership? Yes or no. Not were they cohabiting, not have they been together 35 years with a dodgy stair carpet, not did they have a lovely Valentine's night. You are either married or in a civil partnership, or you're not. So it's
we
yes or
have
no.
been together 35 years, but we're not married, so our answer would be no.
And then the next question is, do you have children? If the answer is no, the next question is, do you have parents? If the answer is no, then it carries on down your bloodline. So it's like brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles, all that kind of stuff. So that isn't always what clients would want. And we've written over 300,000 wills. They're all unique. And we've never, understandably, drafted a will that's anywhere near the rules of intestacy, because the rules of intestacy doesn't even ask who you want your executors to be, because it can't. It's just a set of rules that says, according to all these yes-no questions, it's going to end up at a destination. And it doesn't care if you've got specific gifts. It doesn't care if you've told your family what you want to happen, because unless that's in a legally binding document, it's not going to happen.
And even if you are married, it's still not going to work for you if you're married with your own children, and especially if you're
a blended family,
second or third marriage, you've got children from different relationships. That can go horribly wrong, can't it, if you haven't got
It sounds melodramatic, but it rips that family dynamic gets torn apart because it follows the bloodline again, and you might see yourself as a complete happy family, and understandably so. The law doesn't. The law sees you as two separate bloodlines. So, you might have Mr. with children from a previous relationship, Mrs. with children from a previous relationship. When one of those dies, if they're then married, if it's less than 322,000, because believe it or not, spouses aren't guaranteed to get everything off each other neither.
So there's a cap on...
There's a cap on that, and then it gets convoluted, because half of it goes to your spouse, the other half above that figure goes to your children. It gets very messy very quickly. But basically, if Mr. passed away first, his children are getting nothing at that point anyway, because it's all going to his surviving spouse. Then when Mrs. passes away, everyone might reasonably think, well, the children are going to inherit in equal shares, but they don't. It will follow Mrs.'s bloodline and go to her children only. So Mr.'s lose out. Basically, whichever parent passes away first in that scenario, those children lose out, because it follows the survivors. The second death, if you like, follows their bloodline only. And people and the children and the loved ones that are involved in this only discover that, typically, when that's happened, when it's too late to do anything about it.
I remember hearing it on the radio. It was a celebrity, and she was telling exactly that story. And you were like, that's can't be right.
And that's what you think, isn't
sideways,
it?
It's called, the term's coined sideways disinheritance, because your estate moves into somebody else's bloodline. Even if that someone is your spouse, it moves into someone else's bloodline and follows their bloodline. And you wouldn't believe, but it happens every single day. Every single day, all the time, because people have been told it'll be okay. If anyone's still listening to me waffle on now, I would just ask them to think about this. If you're sat thinking, I'm sure everything will be okay, just ask yourself who's told you that. Where have you got that from? And if it's John down the pub, who's the pub quiz champion, don't trust it because he's probably not insured. But there's lots of people who go, I'm sure it'll be okay.
Yeah, I don't know where we get it from, really. I just
It's
think
just
we
those misconceptions,
It's
isn't it?
less of an assumption, actually, and it's more of a hope.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course.
Don't take the risk.
Won't happen to me.
I've told the kids what I want to happen,
Yeah.
so that obviously
I'm sure they'll be able to deal with everything, is what people say, but they can't because at the end of the day, it's a legal tool. The law
got to
says
be written down.
you have to follow the law.
If you haven't got a legally binding will, it's completely out of your hands.
Correct.
And it goes to that government will, which is not what any of you would want. Honestly, you would kick yourself watching your family fall out because they know what you wanted and it's just not happening with a government will.
And it's less than £100.
It's
to
so
get a government
affordable.
will.
Secure those deals because by getting in contact right now, you know that's what you've done. You don't need any information. You just need to know you want to do a will or a lasting power of attorney. Will normally £249. Our special price normally £124. But with that 20% off, £99, under £100 tonight. And of course, splitting that cost over 4 payments, £24.75. Money so well spent. And we spend money like that on absolutely nothing.
Just popping into the supermarket, for one thing, and you come out and end up spending over £25
Yeah,
easily.
I do that easily at a certain coffee shop.
Yes, you do.
And I think lots of us are the same. And it's honestly, my goodness, £24.75, 4 payments. That is your will sorted professionally. Lasting power of attorney again, massive saving. £349 is the rent. All these prices are so much more affordable than I thought they would be. I thought it'd be thousands of pounds. But then we have a regular price, which is normally £239, but you've got 20% off that if you get in contact this morning, and £189 is your price, and you can split that cost over 4 payments. £47.25 is the first of those 4 payments. We ordered a Chinese takeaway the other day. What was it? £61.50.
Yeah.
How many people did you have round?
Yeah.
It was only really for 2. We did share it with Mum, so it was like 3, but really it was a set menu for 2.
Don't forget the biggest saving is if you go for the combination, the will and lasting power of attorney. Details are on the screen for you. It should be almost £600. The normal price or the offer price that we were going to do at £315, but with that 20% off, it comes down to £249. That's £62.25 on your first of 4 payments. Remember, it's simple, it's easy to get in touch. Whether you want to use the website, you're going to go directly to Simpler Law. Whether you want to call the call centre, the team are there right through till 3 a.m. Or whether you want to text the word will to 66777. So simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. The call centre team are there right through till 3 a.m. 0333 600 2600, or as I say, the easiest way is to text.
Yeah, 66777. Just text the word will and it's done. You don't need to know any answers. You don't need any information apart from you want to write your will or your lasting power of attorney. And actually, even if you just secure the will price, if you watch the show and think, oh gosh, I should do lasting power of attorney too, you're securing all those prices as long as you get in contact right now. So do it whilst you remember.
One of the main reasons that there are breakdowns in family relationships is following a bereavement, and typically where that bereavement, the deceased didn't have a will, because everyone has an opinion and everyone thinks they're right, and that's when you fall. And the one thing that you can't ever quantify is grief. So, emotions are high and people deal with grief in different ways. So I say this quite often, but everything I say I genuinely mean is making a will is really selfless.
Yeah.
You will get something out of it. I can't prove that to you until you go through the process. So if you sat with your phone now, just text the word will to 66777 and you won't regret that you did it. And when you go through the process, you'll realise that it's not morbid, it's not difficult, but you're doing something amazing, not just for yourself, but ultimately for your family. Because then you're removing all that ambiguity, removing all the arguments. It's like, no, this is what I want to happen. You do that, you talk to us for 20 minutes, half an hour, however long it takes, we go at your speed, and at the end of it, you've got a will that takes you away from the government will, and you've done something amazing for your family.
Just recently on our local village sort of Facebook page, there's a lady, I don't know her, but she'd written down, please, whatever you do, write a will. And she's lost 3 members of her family, and none of them wrote wills, and it's put her in such a terrible, you know, it's a bad enough situation as it is.
The
but
process is so much harder for
it
everybody,
just made it
isn't
so more so complicated. And you could make it so you'd be devastated, wouldn't you? And obviously, I don't know what happens when you pass, but I'd like to think Dad's looking down, you know, looking down and watching your family fall apart because you didn't get round to writing a will and making sure what you've worked so hard for, it goes to the people you want it to go to. And sometimes it doesn't go to the people that you don't want it to go to. And honestly, simpler law will deal with all of that.
And with a will as well, you can do so much more than just money. So you might think at home, well, I haven't got that much, but you can do so much. And take a look at this list and we'll get Georgia to look through it with us because there's so many things. It's not just about your money, is it?
No, not at all. And it's a document as well, and it gives you full control and flexibility over what happens to your possessions, your property,
your pets even.
Yes, exactly.
And your children, which I awfully hadn't thought about, but if two parents die, so important that you leave guardianship for your children.
Absolutely, and one of the benefits of having a will as well is that you get to choose the people who would do that in the instance that the worst was to happen, for example.
And it's people you want, isn't it? Because if there's no one written down, if there's no one in place, it might be the fact that it's more than one set of grandparents.
Another family upset, isn't it? Because it is two sets of grandparents or sisters or brothers say so they'd want me to have them, and then there's two, you know, children that are desperately upset, and then family fighting over them. There's so much you can do with your will, and your children might be your pets, you know, honestly, or it might be an heirloom that needs to go through the family. There's so many things you don't think of, but simpler law just make it so easy because you don't need to know anything. I know simpler law because we did Mum's lasting power of attorney with them way before they worked with us here at Shop on TV. You don't need to know really the answers or the questions because you sit down, have a chat like we're having tonight, and the team, you know, ask the question, and they become friends, actually, the people you deal with. And this is how you get in contact, and it's entirely up to you which way.
You're going directly to Simpler Law, as I say, experts in the field when it comes to estate planning. simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. That'll take you through to those exclusive offers that we've just been talking about, whichever offer you want to go for. You can call the team in the call centre. They're there right now, right through to 3 a.m. 0333 600 2600 is the number. And as Hayley just said, very importantly, you don't need anything with you. This is just about securing the offer, getting that fabulous deal that Simpler Law are offering us.
You might have a couple of questions to ask them and they can answer those, but honestly, it is just saying, I would like to secure that price for the will, and it's done then. But one of the easiest ways, and I love doing all the competitions like this, and this is a competition you do win because you've secured the price, and you text the word will to 66777. And it's so easy. Your phone's right there. You're probably looking at your phone as you're watching the TV right now. Just text will 66777 and someone will get in contact with you either later on today or tomorrow. You have got till close of business on Friday, but we do say do it now.
If you want to go to our website, that's the other way to get in touch, shopontv.co.uk. Go to the homepage, scroll down, click on the Simpler Law logo, and it takes you through to those exclusive offers that you can see there. It talks you through exactly what you need to do. Just fill in that really simple, straightforward form that you can see on that page that it'll take you through to.
We are sadly coming towards the end of the show. Take a look at the prices again. Take a photo of this. What you want to do is get in contact right now. The will, you've got an extra 20% off all of those offers. It's only until the close of business on Friday. However, do it now because you know this week's going to fly, isn't it? All of a sudden, it'll be Saturday, Sunday, and you've missed out on the extra 20%. And it is a special. It was our New Year offer, and they have kindly brought it back because a lot of people did miss out. Whether it's will, lasting power of attorney, or doing both, you're securing all those prices by getting in contact now. Also, you've got the chance of being one of the 250 clients that will get that fabulous free book, which is What My Family Should Know. That's worth £25, and that's you putting all your vital information into one book, and it could be past, you know, numbers for your phone or your tablet. And remember, get in contact, all the details on the side of the screen, whether you phone, use the email, or whether you text.
It's all right there for you, but do it right now before the close of business on Friday, because that's when those offers will change. So now is the time to take that first step.
Do the text.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
Texting's the easiest.
Text the word will. I can spell that. I'm not going to try, but I can. To 66777. and that's it done. You don't have to speak to anybody. You can go out to work, you can go to bed, knowing you've taken the first step and that you're actually going to get that will sorted. You're going to get a lasting power. Everything else after that is so simple. Simpler law, make it simple.
I've got to thank the team for joining us, as always. Ian and Georgia, thank you so much. It's been lovely to have your company. We'll see you very soon. Thank you to you for watching at home, and make sure you join us every night after midnight here at Shop on TV.